file for a trademark for Trinity Star. So obviously she's planning to. I mean, I think she had nowhere else to go. She followed her friend. She supported her friend. She traveled the world with her friend, and it turns out her friend only had juice for one, not juice for two. So this is, I guess, better than nothing. You save a little face and you do what you want to do. She probably signed for 2 tapings, which probably equals, appearing last night in 1 pay-per-view, maybe 2, and I'll predict she'll be in the Royal Rumble. Of course, I predicted that last year too. So,
well, hey, you keep saying the prediction. Eventually, it's going to be right.
I got Jimmy Uso coming back. It took me 9 pay-per-views, but I got it.
It took you 9 pay-per-views, but I got it. Chris, what do you think? Is this just like Jeff says, a way for her to save face, or do you think this could be something?
Well, this gives me an opportunity for my musical number of the show. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. What the fuck Trinity Fatu does?
Yes.
Cool. I don't care.
I think I don't. I think people are trying to make this out to be bigger than it is. It's something she had to do because at this point she's over a year of not having been wrestled or seen on TV, right? And again, like you said, Jeff, it's that idea of her friend convinces her to go, and then she's like, "Yeah, I don't really have anything for you, but have fun. I hope you find something super cool.
Dude,
Bye."
We should totally quit our job and start our own business and stuff. Yeah, let's do that. All right, hey, you got those you got those cards for the business? Yeah, here you go. Oh, how come it just says your name for owner? Well, that's something I needed to talk to you about.
Because New Japan doesn't want you. They only want me.
I can't wait for Trinity's first unscripted promo where she's like, Diana sucks, Sasha sucks, Monet sucks, Mercedes
no.
sucks, Mercedes sucks. Ooh, did I say that? I mean Diana sucks. Diana sucks.
That was cringe. That was cringe.
So is everyone going to have a musical segment today? Because I don't do musicals, and I'm going to get the fuck out of here, and we'll just end the show. We're all doing musicals today. I'm just saying that right now. I hate musicals. They're awful. They're the worst. But
I actually agree with you, John.
What was that? Was that Jeff?
Oh, I said, this reminds me of a song that we can all break into. It's a great time for a musical interlude.
Look. I have the power, right? Just saying. Look.
You put me in the Jimmy spot.
Hey, I'm up top now.
Yes, hey, right. I'm behaving, motherfucker.
That's right. You just behave. You go in the Jimmy spot.
So we can play musical boxes right here.
Motherfucker. I'm not doing anything musical anymore. All right? No more musical. No mentions though. All right, I guess we can go into it a little bit here about last night. First of all, I know we're a week out from Puerto Rico and Backlash. Do you feel like this was an attempt to get in on the NFL draft market, per se, because the NFL now has the Thursday night, the Friday night, and the Saturday drafts going on? Do you feel like this is an attempt by WWE to say, hey, look, we have our own draft. You can watch that, but then you can also watch ours? Or do you think this was just poor timing in general?
Oh, no, this was definitely... Yeah, this was definitely them trying to capitalize on the fact that it's sort of draft season for a lot of people. Do I think that it worked? Probably not. Do I think that it was anywhere near as... if you're going to do this, you might as well do it right and actually try to entertain people with it and actually try to make it make sense. We talked about it already. Some of these things were so completely nonsensical. Teddy Long's drafting for Raw? Why? He's literally been connected with SmackDown for pretty much longer than anybody. He is a SmackDown icon. So why is he making a draft pick for Raw? And there's a number of things that you could have done to make this a lot more interesting. You could have, one of the best, to me, one of the very best sports movies ever is Moneyball. And part of it is because they show the real drama of what it's like to sort of be in charge of a competing team. right? In a league like that, you could have shown something like that. You could have really leaned into it and made this a really interesting, really intriguing moment. But instead, they just half-assed it like they do with most things in the WWE. Oh, it's draft season. Let's have a draft. Oh, it'll be cool because draft. But, I mean, did they make it interesting? No. I mean, are we all here thinking this was fucking boring? I mean, it's drafty in here, cold draft here. Who made these picks? Right? It's all of our comments are, well, this was fucking anticlimactic, wasn't it?
It was a waste of time. It was. You might as well just put it out on the internet instead of putting it on our TVs. But this was an opportunity for them to not have to write a show, not have to have promos, and not have to really do a lot. But here's the thing: you're a week out from Backlash, right? Isn't the whole purpose of this show to build up to Backlash, right? And you're a week out because next week you're going to be in Puerto Rico. You're not going to do anything before that show on Friday Night SmackDown. Next week's show is going to be the complete and utter shits. So you got to sell it today, and you didn't do that because you put on nonsensical matches that made no sense, like Butch versus Sheamus, Butch versus LA Knight. And then you had the 3-way triple threat match for the tag teams. Sonya Deville and Zelina Vega, and trying to none of it did anything for anybody. Even this, when I saw the main event was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. I was like, do I really have to watch this show? Do I really? Well, I had to take Jacob to work, and I got to pick him up at 9, so I guess I got to watch it.
Well, and I kind of thought that they were going to pull the trigger on something interesting at the end of the show, at the main event there where, Paul Heyman takes the phone call during the main event, and it's yes, my tribal chief.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my tribal chief. Yes, my tribal chief.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That evil moment for Paul Heyman, and it looked like he was sending Solo out to maybe even take out the Usos, right? Which I mean, I'd be down to see that. That would have hooked me. That would have gotten me going, okay. I mean, the episode kind of sucked, but at least the last 10 minutes were full of intrigue, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do next. But they've been on this. Are they going to take out the Usos? Are the Usos going to be part of it since WrestleMania? So at this point, we're at the next pay-per-view, and there's still no progress, right? And that's the one thing that I want out of my wrestling program is I want it to progress. I want to see, okay, what are we doing next, right? What are we actually going with next? Because right now it's just we're waiting till Backlash is over and then maybe we're going to start. So
I have 6 points. I don't know if I'm going to do them all at once, but one, your first question was the USPS the NFL draft. And I think absolutely so. And I don't think it was so much because it's draft season. I think it's because everything with them is social media. And if someone types in draft or sees draft, you're typing about the NFL draft or whatever, you may stumble upon WWE draft and, may see the links. You might see it on YouTube. You may turn on the TV, whatever. The kind of things that they think that every business thinks that doesn't actually work in the real world. But I'll say a few nice things about this. I generally agree with most of what everyone's saying here. I mean, I don't think it was done very well. Some of the draft picks don't make sense. I mean, obviously, you can tell by my handle tonight, at least 2 of the ones I picked that make absolutely no sense to me. I thought dividing the roster into 2 parts is kind of stupid, though it does, I guess, allow a little bit of suspense about what happens with Rhea because Bianca's the SmackDown. It was drafted to SmackDown, blah, blah, blah. I agree with what Chris said about the stuff with Solo. That was a cliffhanger, so that's okay. I actually thought the main event match, which I wasn't really that interested in seeing, I thought it delivered. I thought it was a very good match. But LA Knight won. He won a match. He rarely does. That's good. Zelina Vega, who should have won 3 or 4 matches to get to this point, who hasn't at least won a match. She didn't look strong doing it, but she won a match. The draft itself at least changed the format so it wasn't so monotonous. We were saved from recap mania hell, so it was a little bit different. And it's gonna control the news cycle. We're going to be complaining about it. Why did they split Cody from Roman? Which I agree. Why did they split Cody from Roman? Will there be a trade, or did they just botch it? or is he going to win Money in the Bank or Royal Rumble now or whatever? People will be talking about stuff like that. As far as Backlash is concerned, I don't know what they could have done to make this show more interesting. The matches they've set up aren't particularly interesting, and honestly, I think they think they've already sold the show by one thing and one thing only, and that's Bad Bunny.
I can see that. I mean, but I think still, I mean, yes, because I think was it Monday night? Because I think I saw that last night where he comes out and like has a kendo stick to Damian Priest and says, "We're doing a street fight in Puerto Rico" or something like that. And I think WWE threw the graphic up immediately, a San Juan street fight. Okay, cool. Like, that still doesn't. So I'm gonna watch a worldwide hip hop star wrestle a professional wrestler who is like twice the size of this man in a street fight.
Well, welcome to wrestling.
The street fight is the only way to make it believable. I mean,
I guess
the street fight is the only way to even like kind of make it believable because you've got weapons and that means you can negate the size difference. But I mostly agree with you. Like I'm not interested in watching that match either. But
I think that if the complaint about WWE for years is that they have all these non-wrestling TV writers on there and they're not allowed to do TV stuff or they don't know wrestling. And this is where they could have done exactly what Chris is saying. Had draft rooms, and you have one table for main eventers, you have one table for your women's titles, you have one table for your tag team division, you have one table for your women's tag team division, you have another table for setting you have draft boards there and things like. They could have completely leaned into it and not even had to do any goddamn matches. They could have made it all about the draft and done like the Moneyball or the worst version, the one with Kevin Costner where it was the baseball version, which was basically a Disney movie. But they let these writers actually write something. But nah, they gave us lazy shit and picked Matt Riddle 4th and Indy Hartwell 8th. I mean, come the fuck on.
Yeah. And sorry about that. Apparently it's my end for some reason, Spectrum.
Indy Hartwell shouldn't be picked 8th in NXT.
The NXT picks in general should not have been picked. But
I'll say one nice thing about that. I'm sorry, I know I keep railroading everyone. I'm going to stop. But we got what they did accomplish last night is they gave us 2 women's tag teams in Fire Dawn, and assuming Candice stays on Raw, you now have the way. So if they're trying to build a division to make the women's tag team titles mean something, at least they gave us 2 tag teams last night.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Now
if we're going to do that, but I mean, to me, this is one of those things where they've done that before, where you saw like a draft room where you had a Raw contingent and a SmackDown contingent, and you had a draft room and you had guys. Well, do that, make it like you said, Jeff, interesting. Where we see that kind of thing, we see that in the NFL draft, where we see the Chargers war room or the Cowboys war room or the Giants war room as they're getting ready to make their picks. Show that, not just Teddy Long walking out of a door that says Raw on it, with a card.
And you can have the disappointment on the face of the Raw general manager when whoever picks Roman first, right? You can see that look of like,
son of a bitch.
Okay.
Like, but you mean it's like, okay, well, SmackDown, well, then where they're gonna have them? Yeah, well, we figured, like, okay, we know.
And what a great way to bring in more nostalgia acts or show faces you know. You can have a Lunger Blaze in there in the SmackDown room on the women's board, and somebody picks, whatever. Bianca was picked by SmackDown, so put her in the Raw room, and she had Bianca number 1, and she go,
son of a bitch. Yeah,
and then go, well. Like that. And then someone argues with her, well, we have the next pick. We drew straws early. And she's like, God damn it. And then you could have, I don't know if she'd even do it, but Mickie James in the SmackDown room, controlling the draft board on that. And then you have, tag team wrestlers doing one. So you could have had Big E and Kofi on there, even though they're injured, since they're not eligible, have them drafting for SmackDown. And then maybe Monday they get drafted to Raw, and it's just like, what? And they have to leave the room and walk across the hall or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and that could have been way more entertaining and more fun. But again, like we said, it's just, let's just have Teddy Long walk out of a Raw thing and then go like this and looking at the card before he goes to walk on stage. The only presentation that I enjoyed out of all of this was Triple H's. You know, he started the show, he walked out, and of course he had his music, which was awesome. Like, I don't care who you are. I was watching with one of my friends last night, and we were like, okay, that's cool. I love Triple H's music. It's a fun way to start the show. Cool. And he did a great job with it, with, you know, being that kind of authoritarian figure, announcing the things. He should have been announcing as, you know, the showrunner, the person who runs, you know, creative. He should have been the one. They should have been handing him the cards, and he's making the announcement. He should have been the Goodell, you know, per se. And then but then also too him like, oh yeah, no, y'all, like with the Cody part, oh, we just cut you off the boat. Go ahead and do it, you know. Then they got the crowd to do the whoa whoa, and you know that was
funny.
Yeah, and I think of everybody who did the presentations, he was the best and the most entertaining. And after that, it just fell so flat, you know.
Trips brings a sense of gravitas to whatever he does. Really, I mean,
it really
like. I've never been a huge Triple H fan in terms of talent. I've always thought that he was a really good number 3 on any wrestling show. Like he's to me, he's not the main event. He's not even the other side of the main event, but he's a really good third option on any wrestling show he's ever been on. But actually, like in this position as like a leader, as the general manager kind of position, I actually think that he brings a really great sense of gravitas. I loved him in his role when he was doing that. Whenever he would come into an NXT show and he would do like a live promo to like get the crowd riled up, I always thought, I like this. I really like what he's doing here. And yeah, I mean, last night he was definitely the one with the gravitas. Everybody else was kind of playing up the silliness of it, and I don't think that was the right way to go. I think that a more serious angle to this would have helped make the brand split a lot more serious and would have made the draft seem like a big deal. Yeah. But when you've got everybody playing and sort of, you know, playing touch butt in the park with each other, it just looks like, oh, they're not taking it seriously. Why should I take it seriously? This obviously isn't an important thing. But yeah, Triple H has a tendency to bring a lot of gravitas to whatever he's doing. And I thought, like you said, I thought he did a good job last night too.
He feels very natural out there. The other guys, I mean, their nostalgia and just happy to be in front of the crowd is sort of like the WWE equivalent of the Vikingo and Commander high spots on AEW. It's like house show stuff. It's like for the crowd. The crowd's happy to see them, but on TV, it's just like, all right, we've seen this 1,000 times before. You know, pretend this is serious. But I don't want to shit on it too much. It was stupid. I mean, I didn't expect much more than stupid. It was stupider than I wanted based on the order of the picks and that strange dividing of the roster kind of thing in some arbitrary and meaningless sort of way. And you knew the matches were dumb too, because you knew the people who got drafted to SmackDown that night were going to win. So, I mean,
yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, like,
Jimmy hasn't said anything in a long time. Should we do a wellness check? I mean,
are you okay? Are you alive?
Jimmy's having a chat with the chat.
No one's called me in, man. I'm just fucking waiting for my call. That's all.
Well, you know. We're just not used to you being here this early, Jimmy. That's why it's just.
That's all right. Don't mind me, man.
It throws us off. But I mean, I guess overall, Jimmy, how did you feel the presentation and everything for the show last night, the draft? I think, you know, like I said, it's a way to get draft tie in with the NFL draft. But did you feel like this was a waste of time for you, or do you feel like this was a show worth watching?
The whole year has been a waste of time right now. Think about it. I mean, first of all, yeah, they're definitely piggybacking off the NFL draft, 100%. Second of all, what was the whole point of all this build between Cody and Roman and the Usos and Sammy and Kevin Owens? Like, what was the whole point of all this? What was the point of Rhea Ripley winning the SmackDown Women's Championship just for the SmackDown Women's, the Raw Women's Champion to be the SmackDown Women's Champion now, and vice versa, I assume. So, what was the whole point of everything? I mean, does Cody really want to win a belt, for example, that has no lineage, that's got no legacy?
I think the lineage is the tie into the World Heavyweight Championship belt, which is the big gold belt which Ric Flair had.
Didn't Dusty win that one technically?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's probably why, and that's the whole. I think the idea of the design and the look of it was to pay an homage to that and to give it that. And then he said we're bringing back the World Heavyweight Championship belt, which is that tie into that homage to that belt back then. I think it's a stretch. Don't get me wrong.
Stretch.
But here's the other thing, Jimmy. I think the Uso Sammy thing that was built to tell the story of the Usos being cut out of the bloodline. It's not about Sami and Kevin Owens in that.
Right.
It's about the Usos and the bloodline being separated out. And so we're seeing that even more where we saw at the end of the night, Solo is sitting there at the sidelines watching, and we don't know, was he supposed to attack Sami and them, or was he supposed to attack the Usos? And we get cut off with that, but that's kind of what we see. Is it going to be, and we see that it was Roman, Paul Heyman, and Solo taken, and not the Usos. And Paul Heyman gives them like, "Oh, you're going to get drafted tonight. It's not going to be a big deal." And And this is like watching one of those number one picks that is projected to go in the first round, keep falling and falling and falling, yeah. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, we're out of the first round and he's not picked. And now that's where we are with the Usos. We're seeing that protection from Roman being pulled away, and that's the story we're telling. It's Sami and Kevin were the catalyst, but they're not a part of the story. The real story is that itself. In the Cody story, obviously they were going to separate him from Roman because they did the whole Brock Lesnar thing, after the fact. So it was that idea that Roman's going to be Roman. He's going to do his thing. We want to get Cody somewhere else, knowing we're going to do this brand split, knowing we're going to have a second belt. Maybe we can have him win the belt that his dad did. So let's get him off of that with this Brock Lesnar thing. Is it stupid? Yes, it's stupid. I don't like it, but that's the way they want to go. And let's be honest, you have Cody on one brand and you have Roman on the other. Those are pretty two big superstars to have on brands to be the head of your brands to go forward. So I get the idea of it. Has it been sloppily done? Yes. But then again, this is WWE we're talking about. They don't do things delicately or very well.
You're 100% correct, but they also were walking, talking contradiction. Because didn't Cody come out and say when he first signed with WWE that he wants to win the belt that his daddy never won? Did he not say that?
He did.
He did. So what's this? What's all this about? You know what I mean?
Cody saying things. That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
That's right. But still, the fact that that's him getting his second, it's a second finish prize, dude. Like he finished second. Not.
I don't understand why everybody seems to be thinking that this is the end of the story for Cody and Roman. I don't.
It's going to be on hold for at least like a year. Until the next WrestleMania, right? Or Survivor Series, possibly.
How in the fuck are you gonna listen? The best place for Cody to finally go over Roman, if that's actually the call here, is WrestleMania. Match. Obviously. Obviously, it's at WrestleMania. That's the biggest show of the year by far, by a lot, by a mile. It is the biggest show of the year. That's the place where stories culminate. That's the place where stories finally get finished or whatever. You're going to try to keep Cody away from Roman for an entire fucking year? I don't think so. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense on SmackDown if they're both on the same show. If they're on separate shows, Cody can go his own way. He can have a title run now because everybody seems to be worried about, Cody's buried now. He didn't win. Mm-hmm. He didn't win at WrestleMania. Now he's buried. Well, okay, here you got an opportunity for Cody to have a little run for the next 6 to 9 months. He loses the belt 9 months from now to Walter. He wins the Royal Rumble after coming in at number 1. And then the next night on Raw, he comes out and he says, I won the Royal Rumble and I have the chance to challenge. Walter comes out and says, okay, let's do it again. Cody says, no. I'm not challenging you for the main event at WrestleMania. I'm challenging the tribal chief.
But wait,
because that's the story that I need to finish.
He needs to win a Rumble again or something like that to get to have that, right?
Yes.
But so what does he do?
Yes.
Win the Rumble from number 1 next time instead of number 30?
Fucking A.
I don't know, man. I feel like they've messed up big time with this new championship. What I'm confused about is Roman Reigns. Is he still going to be the WWE and Universal Champion at the same time? Is that going to be
is
one
sort of
belt
a
now?
stupid thing. They need to. I mean, they need to actually bring those belts together because it just looks silly now him holding two belts. But
So then scrap the Universal Championship and just call it the WWE Championship again. Otherwise, it's stupid. I just feel like Cody saying what he said, the contradiction that WWE is. I don't know who the hell was making these picks. Who was making the picks? Like I said, who was it?
Teddy Long.
Oh yeah, right.
Vince's
But we didn't have
JBL.
no. Sorry, Jeff.
Vince's mustache.
Vince's mustache, right? Obviously was making these picks. The point is, we don't know who was making the picks technically. We had no general managers. We had no Pierce even making those picks at first. We've got Cody saying he wanted to win the WWE Championship, finish the story. I assume that's done now because he's going
you're
for this
assuming
new
it's. Why would you assume
Yeah.
it's done?
but you guys are assuming that it's not done, right? But I'm not sure yet.
I'm not
I don't
assuming
know.
anything.
Not you. I'm talking about the top two. I just don't know what the hell's going on here.
Wait, I don't want
I'm
to.
assuming it's not done. Like, yes, I am assuming that they're gonna keep doing something with Cody and Roman, and that's
Right.
the eventual plan. Because right now there is nobody who is even close to ready to take the belt off of Roman, even after the bloodline collapses. Nobody's really in a position where they can do that, other than
agree.
Cody
That
Rhodes.
I agree.
And I
Right.
mean, listen, Jimmy, we've been doing a podcast together for 3 years. Do you know anyone who dislikes Cody Rhodes as much as I do?
No, probably not. The vet is up there though.
Okay, I can't stand the guy. He's still the only guy who's in a position to take the belt off of Roman after the bloodline collapses. They need to give that time so that once the bloodline collapse, it makes sense. It can't just be all of a sudden the bloodline's gone, because that's going to bury 3 years worth of writing. They have to give it time. The right time is next WrestleMania, but in between now and then, you have Cody go off, become his own man, become his own champion, and then once the Rumble comes along, you have him win it and challenge Roman at Mania.
I just
That's
think
the best story.
No, honestly, wait a second, Jeff. I just want to say this. Sorry, man, because I just have to get it off my chest.
Hey, I do it all the time.
No, that's all right. Anyway, I just think because I didn't pull the trigger at WrestleMania with Cody winning, I think he's done. Like, I just think he's done. Even if he wins it a year later, right, at WrestleMania, whatever, I couldn't care less by that point. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, what was all that for? What was the point of him winning the Rumble?
People said the same thing about Daniel Bryan not winning the Royal Rumble.
True.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy, I think there's a couple things you got to remember here. You know, nobody's seen Cody with a world championship belt in WWE, right? So you
Or
have,
AEW.
well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you've got to give him that time with a world championship belt, and this gives him that opportunity to do so that then it becomes even more prestigious if he does lose it to Walter or whatever. That yes, he can carry the belt, he can carry a brand, and yes, he can go after Roman. And like Chris said, it has to be after the bloodline. It has to be that whole idea that Roman now has alienated everybody else, so that when he faces Cody, it is just Cody. That people are saying, do we see Jay versus Roman match? I don't see that. It's been done. Could you do it? Maybe, but like, that's the story. Do I want to see told? Maybe. I don't know.
They haven't built nobody to go up against Roman Reigns right now, man.
And that's fine. They think this is where you give that brand, where you have Roman on SmackDown killing everybody, and you use Cody to be built on Raw. You use Walter to be built on Raw. You get these guys over there to be built out from under Roman's shadow, so that it now becomes, you know, oh look, over here at Raw, we've got Walter, we've got Roman,
Who's Walter?
we got Cody. Yeah. You get the
Fuck
you get the sparkly red finger today for that one.
It doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah. But you know,
Thanks,
you
Mom.
built these guys up. You know, you get Drew McIntyre back to where he needs to be. These guys are now out from under Roman's, you know, shadow, and they're able to do that. So I think that's why some of these moves are made. But I think in the long run, again, it was just sloppily done. It was not very well done, and I
It wasn't
think
even thought out. Like,
it
at
really
all.
felt thrown
We don't
together
know
like.
that yet. We don't know that it's not thought out. I appreciate your skepticism because
Well,
there's
no,
a lot of
I'm
there's a lot of
talking
good
thought
reasons.
out about the presentation of the draft. The draft picks itself. We'll talk about that and see if there are.
And
But I
Edge
think,
will be the one that faces Roman, like Medium 5 says, just quietly. He's right about
Sure,
that.
but he's a perfectly good opponent for SummerSlam to lose. I mean,
Right.
he's a big name. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
put him on a thing. But I think really at the end of the day, this is one of those things where my biggest the moves are the moves. They're going to be what they want to be. We're going to put a fresh painted coat on somebody to get them what they need to.
Fresh coat of paint.
I know that's the joke on Conrad's podcast. I say that all the time, so I'm borrowing that. But they
Southerners.
Yeah, we do it better. The idea really, I think for me, it's not that it wasn't thought out for the picks or anything like that. We have to see how that develops. For me, it's the presentation itself. Felt very slapped together, last minute. Oh yeah, we've got the draft on Friday night. Let's throw some Raw graphic on a door, a SmackDown graphic on a door, and we'll have guys, read it out.
Well, we'll agree with that. Now let's think about it. Who thought that the draft presentation was lazy and not well done? Raise your hand. 4 for 4. I mean that's a, but yeah. I mean, as far as optimistic Jeff, which is I'm not entirely comfortable with him, but there's a couple things that can happen. One, a trade. They've done blockbuster trades in the past, so that could be one way to get Cody back on the same brand, and it doesn't have to be right away. It can be down the line.
How long though?
Things I don't how long, whenever. Things I don't want to see that could happen. Money in the Bank, which is coming up sooner. He could win Money in the Bank, and I presume that if you win Money in the Bank, you can go wherever. Do I want him to win Money in the Bank? No, I do not. A heel should win Money in the Bank
With a freaking briefcase,
and
Cody.
I prefer you use Money in the Bank to elevate somebody who's sort of in the mid-card or on the cusp and make them look stronger. But can you? Yes. Royal Rumble, which is in January, which feels like a long way away, but it isn't. Do I want to see Cody win the Royal Rumble again? No, I do not. But you can get there, and he gets to pick whoever he wants. So there's at least 3 ways right there. Cynical, Jeff, is that, and this is cynical about Cody. At some point, people are going to remember he's just Cody Rhodes. I mean, he's 210 pounds he's small in WWE, and he's a pretty good wrestler, and that's about it. But he ain't that interesting, and he's not that larger than life cartoonish figure. And Cody Mania would burn a fever like Kofi Mania, not like the Daniel Bryan Yes movement, which is still going on today.
Right.
So I'm not terribly brokenhearted that it's not Cody. Is it because I'm a Lashley mark? Yes, it partly is. Of course, I admit my biases. Is it because I would rather see LA Knight in that position, or even Drew McIntyre, or even Sheamus, or Gunther? Yeah, I would. But but if Paul Heyman still has some influence over this bloodline story, and I think he does, I'm going to put a little bit of faith in Paul Heyman in that this story isn't quite over. Is it dragging? Yeah, but it's wrestling. Things are going to drag some, and they're going to drag partly by necessity based on the events like Backlash, like Crown Jewel, or whatever they're calling it in Saudi Arabia. So there are places where there can be interplay and they can continue the story. And it looks like the immediate story is more about what's going on with Solo and his brothers.
Right.
See, there's another issue though. You bring up Money in the Bank. I've said for the last few weeks, I think it would have been better if they had the championships on the line at Money in the Bank, right? So whoever pulls down one championship is the champion of that. Whoever pulls the other one down is the champion of that. But they haven't done that, and they won't do that. Now, you bring up Money in the Bank. Just say, like you said, LA Knight wins, right? Just say, like you won. I think we would all want LA Knight to win it. Problem is, if he does win it, he ain't getting no championship. He ain't going to beat Cody if he's the champion by that point. He ain't going to beat Roman Reigns if he's still champion at that point. I just don't see it. And lately, they're all losers who win the Money in the Bank. No one has cashed in successfully in a couple of years, maybe longer.
Yeah, well, Austin Theory's been the 2-time U.S. champion since then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, U.S. champion. It's stupid. It's stupid. They just add rules whenever they feel like it. They add like it's dumb. Since when was those Money in the Bank championships briefcases due for a cash in on a US championship? Come on.
They've
It was
always
for whatever championship you wanted. Yeah,
it
it's
was
always
from the
been that way.
beginning.
Well,
It's
he
just
didn't cash it in on the U.S. He cashed it in on the World Champion. He just failed.
Yeah, it failed. But when was the last time a Money in the Bank winner has actually cashed in successfully
The
lately?
Miz. 3 years.
When was that?
2 years
3
ago.
years ago.
3 years ago.
So if
what?
LA Knight does win, say,
I
then he's
hope
going to be
that
a loser
everybody
too
who gets Money in
again.
the Bank doesn't succeed. If everybody won, there'd be nothing. That wouldn't be interesting either.
Just don't telegraph
Exactly.
it like they did this year, where they say, "Well, 85% of Money in the Bank winners have, won." They telegraphed it this year that they weren't going to win because they kept saying the amount of how high the percentages of people who have cashed in and won. I think the whole point was this was always going to be a way to get a championship on somebody, and you cash it in whoever. But it was that idea too that the reason why they did it is because, hey, it's a fun way to get originally give Edge a belt. Edge was, and that's how he got, the opportunist, whatever they call him,
The
title.
ultimate opportunist
title, because it was that idea of like, okay, well, Undertaker just got, jacked up, so let me go cash in and I get my belt. Cool. Or whatever. I don't even remember how it all went, but that's the whole purpose behind it. It was that idea of you have this wild card, because here's the thing: the champ is going to wrestle, and they're going to wrestle on pay-per-views, and they're going to be on the brand, and they're going to be there. But then you have this wild card in the back of your head that you're always looking over your shoulder, because you never know when that guy's going to show up and try to take your belt off of you, and it's going to be when you least expect it. And I mean, maybe he does. Maybe if the guy does it like the Roy Kent says at 4 a.m, which is typically when people are less likely to believe they're going to be attacked in their home, and then they stand over him with a rope soaked in red and just keep hitting it with it, and they get confused with their blood, and you laugh and you keep going. Whatever that case may be, that's the whole intrigue behind the story is, when's this guy going to do it? Like with Seth Rollins, he held it for a while, and then he cashed in at WrestleMania and made it a 3-way and won.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's the whole point. And I can see whoever wins it, that's going to make it intriguing. When Otis won it, that was intriguing. And then they said, hey, let's, Otis obviously wasn't championship ready. Then they had that whole bit where Otis lost the belt or the briefcase so that they gave it to somebody who could, use it. That was an interesting aspect. There's lots of fun stories to tell, and it elevates a person. Think about where Otis was and what happened afterwards. I mean, they did some good things. Now, I will say this: if I don't get Otis as a maximum male model, then that's where I'm totally drawing the line on WWE.
Do they seem like they're in two minds with that right now? Because it does feel like that. It's like
I
they
wouldn't
want to do it,
spend
then
too
they
much time
don't.
worrying about Otis or Otis.
No.
I mean, he's basically Sammy Guevara in that he's always going to be at the same level. That's Otis is going to have a 15-year career and never be anything different than he is now.
And I'm fine with that
agree.
because I like Happy Otis. So I like Happy Otis. So all right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and let's we kind of danced around the show. We talked a little bit about it. Let's go about it in order. Let's talk these picks. We'll start with the beginning first, as we kind of talked about. Triple H makes the appearance. He opens the show and he brings out the first 4 picks of the draft. We all agreed that he was the best presentation for this show. If we're gonna have to grade it, I would say this is a solid B presentation from him. I don't want to give it an A because nothing on the show was an A+ at all. I would say this was probably the best part of the show for the most part, especially when it comes to presentations. There's a B, but we go with the first 4 picks. SmackDown gets the Bloodline, which is specifically Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman, and Raw gets Cody Rhodes. So when I was with my friends, I said, watch, Roman Reigns is going to be 1 and Cody Rhodes is going to be 2.
I said the same thing.
And everybody's like, oh my God, how did you? I was like, it's dumb. I know exactly what they're doing. But I mean, obvious choices, right, guys? Do you think? Anybody have any disagreements on why? No.
I don't see why you would have gone with any other one too. No.
Right. Exactly. I don't either. All right. So then number 2, we have our first movement where we have Bianca Belair, the Raw Moves chant, gets picked by SmackDown in the number 2 pick. And Raw's number 2 pick is Becky Lynch. So guys, thoughts on these 2 picks?
Stupid.
two head scratchers as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens with Rhea. But I mean,
Right.
you know,
That's why it's dumb. Because why would they go for Becky Lynch instead of Rhea Ripley, right?
Because
well, he wasn't
she
eligible.
wasn't eligible tonight.
Oh,
She'll be
and why
eligible
wasn't
on
she
Monday.
eligible?
I cannot answer that. They did not do a good job of. I mean, they did a good job of telling you that that was the case and putting up a graphic that you could see all the faces there. They should have had like a scroll underneath telling you who was eligible to be drafted, and then like another one or who's eligible on.
Didn't they
But
say
they literally
everyone?
no, because they literally even confused Wade Barrett, because Wade Barrett on commentary tonight during the LA match went, if SmackDown doesn't draft one of these two men next, it's gonna be a huge shocker. And literally Cole had to be like, well, actually they're not eligible until Monday.
Right.
But I mean, when your announcers are even confused about what the fuck you're doing, then you've done something very wrong.
Yeah,
Very true. I mean, Cole didn't know. I legitimately don't think the NXT people knew who was going to be drafted, and obviously needed the commentary because Michael Cole clearly doesn't watch NXT because he said Isla Dawn instead of Isla Dawn, which is very understandable if you're going to read it, but you didn't know that beforehand. Yeah, I don't really love the idea of drafting the other brand's champion to your brand, and unless SmackDown also drafts Rhea Ripley, and then it's a little bit interesting as to you have two women's champions there, but it's too soon for those two to meet. So, we're just gonna have that stupid obligatory trade. So, it's just for people to argue over the weekend. Now, Becky Lynch, this feels like a legacy pick. There's nothing in the last year or so of her work that merits being the third overall pick.
No, and that's the thing. They can say, well, you're not eligible until Monday, but there's no way that this show would have started off with anyone but Roman Reigns being picked first.
right.
And we know that. Like, we know that. Even if they said, oh, he's not eligible, if somebody else would have gotten picked first, it would have felt like, okay, why is Roman Reigns being demoted here? Why isn't he the most important focus of the draft? And that's the way real drafts work. So, yes, I know that you have two shows and that you want to make it so that both shows have something important to do, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just have to focus in on one thing. Like the Money in the Bank, there shouldn't be, now that the brands are split, there shouldn't be two Money in the Bank briefcases. Right. That should be exclusive to one show. And if you want to make the draft, if you want to do the draft, if you want to do it right, you've got to build it up. You've got to make it make sense, and then all of the picks have to be in the order that they actually should be.
Right.
Because, like you said, I mean, having Becky Lynch go fourth instead of having it be Rhea Ripley, it looks like a demotion no matter what happens on Monday.
Right. Because Rhea wasn't even on, in this eligible for this draft, which was, actually, ridiculous.
And she showed up and got spiked on her head.
So. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe what they mean by not eligible, right, is because she's a champion, so automatically she becomes by default she's part of Raw. That's the only thing that can make sense.
No, because the pick just before Becky Lynch was the SmackDown Women's Champion going to Raw.
Which means that championship now becomes the de facto SmackDown Women's Championship, right? So you need a Women's Championship on Raw.
Who knows? Like we said, who knows what they do with this thing? But I think
fine, but make it make sense.
Yeah,
I know. I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm just trying to make sense of it, right?
Because here's the thing, right? Because when Roman was picked, what did Triple H say? He said, "Now the new World Heavyweight Championship will be exclusive to Raw." He made that specific and very clear. He didn't say that when Bianca was picked. He just said the Raw Women's Champ Bianca Belair is now on SmackDown. And that's it. Can
I just say too? This is a little bit of a personal gripe. I hate the branded championships the way that they are.
Yeah, me too.
I do not like them being called Raw Tag Team Championships, SmackDown Tag Team Championship, the Raw Women's Champion and the SmackDown Women's Champion. Like, I know, like, the WWE owns a whole lot of IP. They could just split it and then have it make sense a lot more. If they said the women's the women's world champion, the women's WWE champion, the world tag team champions, and the WWE tag team champions. Just split them that way so that it doesn't sound so fucking aggravating. I don't know if it's just a tick for me, but when everything is blue or red, including the titles, and everything is literally called the Raw Women's Champion, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, it just sounds really fucking indie to me. Like,
Yeah.
It's all for
name
marketing.
them
Chris.
something that sounds better.
Because
Marketing and merch.
the reason why they're not doing that, and I guarantee you a reason why, is because it makes one, when you go that route, Chris, it makes one sound less than the other, because you have a world champion versus a WWE champion. It makes it sound,
I don't think that does make them sound less. I like, to me, I would rather be the WWE champion or the world champion rather than the Raw champion, because that just, to me, I don't know. Again, maybe it's just a weird tick for me. Maybe it's just me thinking this. But every time I see that, I just cringe a little bit. Like, what I think would be fucking perfect, and I mean, I get why they don't do this, because they fear that they wouldn't get the same rights fees. But if they had a WWE and a WCW, and they just split it that way, you could just have the WCW World Champion, the WWE World Champion, and you could have them both be equals on their own show. You could have the WCW Tag Team Championships, the WWE Tag Team Championships, and then they're just equal on either shows.
Not in WWE, Chris. You know how they go, man. But they should have just done, if they weren't going to do what Chris said, which I agree with, by the way, they should have just called it the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Championship. No Raw, no SmackDown. But I mean, just like they used to have it.
I get, and I hear what you guys are saying, but also, like, they're wanting to make them equal. That's why they went with the branding title, because it's like, okay, you're our WWE champion on Raw, and this is our WWE champion on SmackDown. Whereas when you, like, let's be honest, if you hear someone say world champion, right, that sounds prestigious. When you hear that someone's a champion in their company, like, let's take baseball, for example. You have a National League champ in the Mets. And that's never going to happen. But let's say you hear the Mets. But the World Series champion is the Texas Rangers, right?
Right, and that's
everybody's going to remember the Texas Rangers,
merging, right? And that's why you got that.
But it's the same idea, right?
Right.
You have two different brands, and then you bring them together. But you have that one world champ. The world champ is more prestigious and will be remembered rather than the National League champ who didn't win. And
but we're saying the same thing, but just we're on different sides of what we think on this. Like,
right.
I think that it's way more prestigious for somebody to call themselves the WWE or World Champion than it is to say the SmackDown Champion or Raw Champion. I think that maybe they're equal, but they're equal but less. It's like,
but see, are they really equal?
It's like the equality under communism. Yes, everyone's equal because everyone has fucking nothing.
Right.
Okay, that's not good. That might be equal. It's still not fucking good.
Right.
And let's be honest, the WWE Championship is the championship. Period. Like, it always will be.
But yeah, man. I mean, that's the other thing is, like, I think we're thinking, like, logically, and this is WWE thought of, like, wow, we don't want one brand to be elevated over the other with a World versus WWE. And I guarantee you, because that's what I heard, that was one of the processes of going for the branded titles, because some people felt like the World Championship was more prestigious than the WWE Championship because of the naming of it. Remember, we're dealing with wrestlers who sometimes are petty children, dealing with how they're perceived and how they look. And so then I can imagine, Vince or whatever saying, all right, fuck it. We're all being the same thing. You're going to be the Raw champ. You're going to be the SmackDown champ. So I don't have to hear this shit anymore because it's stupid. It's a prop. It's just to, all that kind of fun stuff. That's how I imagine it goes. And the reason why it went that route, because it's not for us, because we're logical enough to understand that. It's for the wrestlers who were like, well, he's the world champ and I'm just the WWE champ. You're the same goddamn thing. Fine. I'm going to take it away and bring you down to the level of, now look, aren't we all the same? You're the SmackDown champ and he's the Raw champ. Does that make you feel better?
Problem is, it's all a facade, though, John.
And I understand that, but that's how you deal with children. That's how you deal with
facade, man.
Children. That you make it look the same. Look, it's the same. It's the same thing, but like
they still won't believe that it is the same, though. That's the problem. I'm talking about the children.
Well, no, the children do. Look. I work with kids a lot. When you have something, and then you go, "Oh, look, everybody's the same." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And it's not. And I tell them, "Okay, look, I have a snack bucket, right, for when we come after school, because sometimes schools feed kids at 10:30 in the morning, which is the stupidest thing ever. Why you have a kid eat lunch at 10:30 in the morning, and then they don't get out of school till 3:30, 4 o'clock, and they're starving, right. And they don't want to. So, okay, they come into the program, they get to pick 2 things out of the snack bucket. I try as best as I can to put as many like-sized items in there, because all of a sudden a kid's like, well, they got a really big bag of chips, and this bag of chips, it's the same bag of chips, but they think it's so I, try to make stuff work, or, this and this, and making stuff. Well, I can't tell you the amount of times with teenagers. Oh, well, he got this and I wanted this, but it's not the same.
I think you'll appreciate this, John. First Corinthians 13:11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Right.
So that basically needs to be the business position there in WWE. And if you don't like the fact that the World Heavyweight Championship seems more prestigious, then get good and make sure people think you're the one who's over. If you've got the WWE Championship, that should be a little bit of pride for you. You should have something pushing you to say, no, I'm the real world champion. Fuck that other guy's belt. I'm the real world champion. I'm going to go out there every night and I'm going to fucking prove it. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons why wrestling was so fucking awesome during the Attitude Era, during the war between Nitro and Raw, is because those guys were actually feeling like, I'm competing tonight. I'm actually competing with the other guy. That's one of the reasons why when the first draft happened, when there was first a brand split, wrestling was so fucking good on SmackDown. Because everybody who went over to SmackDown was like, we got to fucking prove that we belong here. Mm-hmm. We got to prove that we're the real main events. We're going to put on the best shows. You had the original SmackDown 6 steal the show every fucking week. And for a while there, every fucking week, it was way better than Raw, to the point where SmackDown basically came up and was like equal with Raw. And all of a sudden, everybody's going, holy shit, how did this happen? And it made the Raw superstars want to improve and want to get better. So if you've got somebody on your roster going, oh, well, I'm just the WWE champion, but that belt over there has more prestige. If I'm Vince, I'm going, shut the fuck up and get yourself over.
Right. And that's the problem.
Reach for that brass ring, pal.
Yeah, but that's the problem. With some of these people, you try to challenge them to be an adult, and they can't be an adult. I guarantee you, this draft, people are boo-boo faced because where they were picked on this draft.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, who gives a fuck? You're going onto a brand, you're going to wrestle, do a show, then get over. So that the next time there's a draft, it's undeniable that you should be in the top picks.
Again, that's WWE's fault, though, John, because now they've made SmackDown the show, right? So now the guys that are probably drafted to Raw, I think they have, yeah.
Well, they didn't make SmackDown the show.
I'm talking about the company.
Made SmackDown the show by being on a larger platform and getting a bigger audience.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but that's debatable, though, because SmackDown, for most of its history, has been on network television, right? It started off on UPN. Then it went to cable, and then went back to network television. Now, when it was on UPN,
big 4 networks.
I know that. I know.
Trust me, it's entirely different.
I totally understand that, but you got to think back to when Raw used to outdo SmackDown when it was on national television.
Back to that, because we live in now.
Right.
And
right.
The reason I haven't said anything for the last 20 minutes is because I don't care about any of this. We're not going to be talking about this in 9 months because we haven't seen a WWE World Heavyweight Champion yet. Once we do, and they start acting with it and it starts getting defended, we're going to forget all about it. People love to complain about the belt's names and the belt's designs until there's another belt, and then they hate that belt. I actually think the belt looks good, and this is fine. And I don't think that Roman's going to be walking around with 2 belts much longer. I think they're going to unify the blue back belt and the red back belt into the black
Into the black belt, right?
which they debuted. They leaked it 3 or 4 months ago, and there's just going to be 2 belts again. There's not going to be 3. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever. But I think they're going to do what they can to equalize it. And nobody's going to feel as important as Roman until Roman gets beat. And then after Roman gets beat, the next guy's not going to be as good as Roman. And then it'll start to get equalized. The end. Yeah. In a year and a half, none of us are going to remember any of this conversation. We're going to have something else to be outraged about. Now, if it's something like the All Atlantic title, which is a stupid name with the flags of China and Japan on it, that I'm going to make fun of mercilessly just because it's stupid.
Exactly.
But, other than that, I don't care about any of this stuff. The Intercontinental title belt is the ugliest belt in WWE. Nobody cares because Gunther has it. And Gunther is a fucking awesome champion. And he's believable. And he looks like a badass. Have you heard anyone complaining about that belt in the last 7 months? No. When Sami Zayn had it, complaints. When Nakamura had it, complaints when it first came out. When Cesaro had it, complaints. Because it's ugly. It looks like something out of Transformers, for God's sake.
It was Nakamura that brought that belt out, actually, during his run.
Yeah, if you say so. I mean, he didn't bring it out. I mean, he might have worn it.
You know what I mean. Yeah.
WWE. I mean, and do they do it to sell merch? Yeah, of course they fucking do it to sell merch, and of course everything's gonna be WWE because they want WWE to be the brand out there. They are branding, just like the NFL. Everything is the NFL.
It's all branding and merch.
I'm in Baltimore, as you guys know, and if people remember when the Cleveland Browns first moved to Baltimore, the Baltimore Ravens had a very different logo, and there was a lawsuit brought by a security guard who said that he drew the logo, and they took his logo. He sued them for trademark infringement or copyright, something.
Which is fair enough.
It was fair. Well, he lost, and
what
he What? You're surprised that the NFL lost the suit to a security guard?
No. I thought the guy lost. The security guard lost. I thought you meant.
Yes, the security guard lost.
Because the NFL can afford a $1 billion lawyer.
I get it.
And this is the theory that won. Basically, they said, I'm paraphrasing, basically they proved beyond a reasonable doubt, to federal juries and federal judges and appellate courts that the NFL is what matters. That they could call the NFL team, they could have called it the Baltimore Steaming Pile of Rat Shits, and that would sell merchandise. And it's the NFL label, the NFL branding that brings the value to it. So it doesn't matter whether they're the Ravens, whether you use his crest, whether you use another design, what the name was. The Cleveland Browns have no design. It's just a brown helmet or an orange helmet, and they can still sell shit. And they won on that. And in fact, it turns out to be true. And the Ravens changed it to a cartoon raven, and they sell merch. And this is the same thing with WWE. It's branding. And every company does it. Even the ones that lose their. That's why companies spend money foolishly, at least half the time, on Super Bowl ads and on sponsoring stadiums.
It's true.
Name recognition.
Yeah, well, one thing, I don't think that it's a waste of time to have a discussion about what we think about the direction of professional wrestling. I think that's sort of the point of the show.
Well,
but also, yeah, I think that's the point of the show. You know, it would be pretty dumb if we weren't talking about what we think about the direction of things. But also, I mean, to suggest that we're not going to be talking about it, I don't think that's true. We're not going to be talking about it in 6 months. We will if they fumble the ball. We might not be if they book it properly. But I mean, everybody still remembers and everybody still talks about how dumb it was that Eric Bischoff came out with the World Heavyweight Championship and just handed it to Triple H because that was bad booking. And it took Triple H going through his basically reign of terror in order to build the prestige of that belt to something where anybody gave a shit about that championship. Right. So you can overcome bad booking with better booking, but it takes a long time to do it. It takes a really long time. Like the thing with the Intercontinental Championship, you know, when I'm playing 2K, even one of the first things I do is I replace it with the oval belt, with the Intercontinental title, because I hate the new design. But because I can't do that, I don't worry too much about what the belt looks like. You're right, because, you know, Gunther is booked so strongly. but eventually he's going to lose that title to somebody. And if they don't continue to book strongly, and they can't all the time, then the little things start to become a problem. The aesthetics start to become a little problem. So, I mean, all due respect, I think that whether or not we're talking about this 6 months from now is everything to do with how well they book over the next 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, look, we have a while to talk about the next 6 months of what's going to happen. I think right now we've got a lot of speculation of what can happen,
Right.
and I think I think there is some hope. There's some some new matchups and things that could happen, and I think it's a matter of where do we go from here. We might look back 6 months from now. This was a shitty draft, and I mean not just because of the production. Right now, I think we all agree that the production is a part of it. We're looking at the bones of it and where we could go with it. And I think that's the bigger issue. And I think there are some intriguing things going from that, which after the first 4 picks of the draft, we had the Usos come out and talk their smack. And then Kevin Owens and them came out and said, hey, isn't it weird that y'all haven't talked to Roman since WrestleMania and you dedicated your night to him and he left you off the draft? Oh, okay. All right. Well, because this is now our main event. So, of course, they have to come out and talk for that, which whatever, this did nothing for me. I was like, oh, okay, I've got to go do something else. It's just more of the same. But
Same
then,
shtick.
yeah, and then we see that after they do those picks, we see a bit where I think they show a video in the back of Sheamus and Butch are getting ready to battle LA Knight, and they show like what happened. Like real quick about how LA Knight had a microphone and I don't know. It was super weird. Like it was not like it was like, okay, well let's have a match.
If the brawling brutes get separated, who's gonna feed Butch?
Yeah.
Well, apparently he ate Ridge because Ridge wasn't there.
Yeah, right. And keep it up. Well, Butch might mangle those fingers because you can't hold the microphone.
He went full Fenmir and Tyr.
Yeah.
Good reference.
That was a nice reference. Very well done. But I think look, sometimes you can just have a match. We don't need to see the stupid shit behind the stage to have a match, right? Because look, we knew this was going to be a night where just matches were going to be thrown together because it's the draft. They're not doing anything about it. They're not like deep built stories here. It's just matches to have. So we have a match with yes, and of course we saw the executives who are going to be making the choices or whatever. But we have this match. It was a match. I don't need. We as we talked earlier, we had an LA Knight win, which I can't remember the last time LA Knight won.
Rey Mysterio in a schmal.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That was a while back there too, wasn't it? A little bit. Wasn't that before Mania?
It was.
Okay. So we had an LA Knight win. So guys, do we think this means that LA Knight's going to become something, or was it just they wanted the star power of Sheamus out there, but they had put Butch to be the sacrificial lamb so that maybe we could.
Sheamus will end up getting the win in the long run against LA Knight. That's what's going to happen.
You think?
I don't know where we'll ever see these two again. I think they just want to give LA Knight a win on TV, and I think he's going to be drafted. I don't know that they're necessarily going to be on the same brands.
Right.
Oh, well,
I'm just happy LA Knight got a win, and but then Butch is obviously the sacrificial lamb. So was Ridge, and for whatever reason, Ridge wasn't there. And by the way, I think the reason that they did the NXT people tonight so early, which doesn't make any sense in wrestling world, is because they're not going to have them in whatever city Raw is in on Monday because they're performing in the Performance Center in Orlando on Tuesday. So they don't want them jet lagged and they don't want to have travel issues. I mean,
right. And of course, we also found out too that this won't kick in until after Backlash. Right.
And by the way, the reason I thought it was candid is because they had too much of a kayfabe breaking shot when Grayson Waller gave Indy Hartwell like we're really friends hug, like congratulations.
Right.
But, if they knew that was on camera, Grayson Waller never would have been like, he would have been like, who would pick this last instead of me? That's my Australian accent. Jimmy, you say something.
Yeah.
It's all good, man.
It's Grayson Waller. You know, I'm fucking
It's
Grayson
not Waller. I don't know how you guys go.
Shut up,
Waller.
Jimmy. He does
it's
it better than
Grayson
you.
Waller. That's it. That's how you say it.
No, you had your
That's
chance.
coming from
That's
an
what I
Australian
just
accent.
said. I
Damien.
think Grayson Waller.
Jimmy's like,
hold
I don't know
on.
why you guys say Waller. It's Waller. What the fuck are you saying
no.
Waller for
But
when
the
it's
way
Waller,
you guys say it is like Waller. Like the way, I don't know, man. The way
Sorry,
you
you
do
had
it
your
is
chance.
just
John's Australian accent's better. We all agree. 3-1.
There you go. Boom.
nothing beats Big Rays.
Literally.
Literally.
I watch too much Aussie Man.
Do
So
you?
your hat stands for a big
Oh,
raise.
you do?
Yeah. I
Now what the B is for on your hat, big raise.
Big Ray.
Oh, jeez.
Big Ray. All right. So guys, what do you think? If we're gonna make some prognostications, since they weren't eligible tonight, even though Wade Barrett tried to make it so, but he just couldn't pull that off with the announcing. Where do you think LA Knight goes? Does he go to Raw or SmackDown? Where does it make the most sense? Raw?
Raw makes the most sense. Yeah, because
For
it
LA
looks like
Knight?
they're gonna. Yeah, because it looks like they're gonna probably have a face world champion on Raw. I'm guessing it's gonna be Cody. It could be somebody else, but I'm guessing they're gonna have a face world champion over there because it has been a very long time that Roman Reigns has been the champion everywhere, and it looks like it's gonna be a longer time that he's still the champion. So they're gonna need somebody. They're gonna need a face with the title belt over there. And it'll make a lot more sense, especially like if what we're booking happens, where LA Knight wins the briefcase, for him to be threatening a face champion with, I'm gonna be taking that off of you whenever I feel like it, buddy. It'll be great.
Okay, all right. Jeff, any thoughts on you? Where you think he's gonna go?
I agree with Chris for all of those reasons. Plus, Raw desperately needs entertaining people, and LA Knight can carry entertainment for a 20-minute segment, and they desperately need that on their 180-minute shows, less so than they do on their 120-minute shows.
True. All right, Jimmy, thoughts?
Oh, man, really, what the boys said was 100% spot on. I'm not sure where LA Knight fits in. I feel like he's more of a SmackDown guy, but what Chris said is kind of interesting. If it's going to be someone... Look, either way, if they're going to build, say, LA Knight to a Money in the Bank briefcase winner, he's losing. Either way, if he's going to stay on SmackDown, he's going to lose to Roman. If he's going to be on Raw and say Cody is the champion, he ain't beating Cody either, so...
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that LA Knight winning the title against Cody would be good for both of them.
Mm-hmm. People would cry foul if that happened, though, man.
Look, just after WrestleMania, just after Mania, we were all sitting around here talking about. I mean, I was specifically saying like this is a good thing for the story for Cody Rhodes, right? But we need to figure out what he's going to do for the next year between now and next WrestleMania because that's the time to pull the trigger on him winning, right?
Right.
Well, now we've got a really good idea of what can Cody do? Well, he can go away to Raw for a year between now and the next WrestleMania. And one of the things that he can do, one of the tasks that he can go through, if we're talking about the tasks of Hercules, for instance, right? Things that he has to overcome in order to get back to the mountaintop. One of the things that he can overcome is after he wins the title, he loses the title right away, or he loses the title after a really particularly difficult defense against I don't know, Bobby Lashley or something. He can win and then lose, and then he has to get his belt back. That elevates both guys because Cody's going through a struggle, which is what babyfaces have to struggle. They can't just win anymore. This isn't the 80s. You can't just have Hogan anymore. Hogan wouldn't work today. We've seen
Roman.
that because no.
We've got Roman. I mean,
Roman's a heel. Roman's a
doesn't
heel.
matter. Why does it
can't-
matter?
Of course it matters. The idea of the superhero who's completely impervious is exactly why Roman didn't work to begin with as a face. The crowd turned on him, and that's what would happen with Hogan in today's era.
That didn't work because everybody wanted someone else, regardless if Roman was champion or not. It would have been the same heat, regardless. They all wanted Daniel Bryan at that time.
And if Daniel Bryan would have went on a 2-year run where he won every fucking match easily, everybody would have been booing. See, John Cena. you can't just have lol Roman wins and keep fucking going with it unless he's a heel. As a face, it doesn't work. Faces have to struggle. They have to overcome. Otherwise, they're not faces. They're just fucking superheroes.
So what you're saying is basically Cody needs to be a choke artist
No.
over and over again to get
No.
over even more. If they go that route, I feel like he will be pushed back. People will be like, he's a nobody.
Money in the
blah,
Bank
blah,
is
blah.
an equalizer to protect the face from being considered a choke artist because he just survived a 35-minute battle with Gunther and somehow came out of it. And then all of a sudden the guy comes out from the back with the Money in the Bank case, gives it to the ref and hits him while he's basically defenseless and wins. They're both protected. And then you have the hero's journey all over again. And people being outraged, well, that's going to happen anyway. The only thing you don't
everybody
want...
was fucking outraged after Mania too. I mean, no, like listen. I keep bringing him up, and I don't mean to because I fucking love Kev, right? But Kevin Panetta after WrestleMania, right, was I'm never watching wrestling again, and I'm fucking pissed off, and I'm so mad, and I'm angry, and everything sucks, and I fucking hate this show, and fuck WWE, and he's back to watching wrestling again because he was mad. But that is a good reaction. Getting people so fucking mad that they just want to say, fuck this thing. I don't even want to fucking watch this anymore. Motherfucker, I'm so fucking angry. It means that you've engaged them emotionally. Okay?
For sure,
You've
definitely.
engaged an emotion within them. Okay? And definitely you have to have Cody struggle. You must have him struggle in order to get him over. If he just wins every fucking match like he's Hogan in the 80s, it'll take 2 months and they'll be throwing his fucking weight belt back at him. That's a reference to what happened to him in AEW, by the way, because they were pushing him the way that WWE was pushing Roman as a face. He can't lose. He can't lose. He can't lose. Well, guess what? I don't want my fucking heroes can't lose. I want my heroes like me. I want my heroes to be the kinds of people who can fail and then come back and keep fucking trying. Keep fucking going, man. Don't give up, right? The idea of the hero who doesn't give up being John Cena is laughable. He fucking wins everything. He's $1 million face. He's $1 million body. He never loses. He never struggles. So the whole never give up thing from John Cena, it didn't work and it didn't get over the way that they wanted it to because
he was the number one merch guy all that time, though, Chris. The number one merch guy. So it did work. You can't say it didn't work.
Well,
it worked for the kids, yeah.
Yeah, because as The Rock said, you got Fruity Pebbles. He's coming out with a different shirt every time, so of course you want to get the next shirt. It's easy to be a merch monster when you're putting out stuff all the time and you're promoting it. Oh, well, I was in blue, now I'm in yellow, and now I'm in red, and now I'm in green, now I'm in purple.
And also, hey, I've got a brilliant idea for the booking. Let me win all the time. Oh, you think you might get over that way? You think you might get over then, Goldberg?
Yeah. Let's go over Miro, who comes in on a tank, but we're still going to beat him in that match when we could have built somebody new and unique and special.
And the entire Nexus.
And the truth is...
Anger isn't bad. Apathy is the enemy of wrestling.
Yeah, but the truth is, in today's world, everyone's going to be pissed either way, man. You can't impress everybody. Everyone's going to be upset no matter which way they go. It's just the times that we live in right now, which is crazy because everyone just has to have an opinion.
It's okay. Everybody should have an opinion.
and that's I think the part of it. But I think we see, and I mean, I do we really feel like they're going to break anybody up? Because right now, so far, which we'll see in the results later, nobody's been broken up yet.
Oh, they're absolutely going to break people up. Yeah.
So I would think, this first night we didn't see it, but because we had on our next picks, the third
Alpha Academy could break up. That'd be great.
Could. Butch and
I think Alpha Academy is going to be broken up in a weird way. I think Otis is going to be drafted with maximum amount models.
Yeah,
and Gable's going to be like, what?
Yeah. That would be entertaining. I would be entertained by that. But we had our third pick.
Judgment Day might be drafted separately. I think Rhea may be drafted separately than Judgment Day.
Yeah. I think that's going to be for sure. All right, but let's move on here. So for our third pick for SmackDown, we had the Street Profits of Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, and Raw took Imperium. So we had another switchover. So Walter goes over with the Intercontinental Championship with Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. And then we had our number 4 picks for SmackDown. SmackDown, the blue brand gets Edge. Okay. And then we got Matt Riddle to come over for Raw, or stays on Raw. This one was a very confusing pick for me as far as where they were taken. Street Profits being a number 3 pick. I found this interesting because then right after this was the triple threat, I think, match where we had the triple threat of the Street Profits and Ricochet and Braun Strowman versus Latino World Order. And obviously they win. Oh, and by the way, this is where it really went downhill for the presenters because we had Rob Van Dam and Michael P.S. Hayes. Yeah, they were bad. I felt like Rob was just ready to hurry up and get his next bong hit and whatever else he does with Katie Forbes. And then
seen better days.
Yeah, and Michael P.S. Hayes just looked awful. And look, I'm gonna be honest, he sounded awful. He did not sound like from what I remember Michael P.S. Hayes sounded.
How old is he now?
Like
Actually,
about Street Atlanta GA.
Yeah.
I won't lie.
yeah, was that different? Was that like a different version? Because it sounded like off key to me for some reason.
I think that's how songs sounded in 1984.
Yeah. Well, no, but I do know that for a time there's like WWE has a version that's not the original version too, though, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and then I heard him sing. So yeah,
well,
I know.
Yeah, nobody wanted to hear that really. No. But we had that happen, and then of course we see Montez Ford and Hawkins come out, and they have the match. Again, this was a showcase for the Street Profits, in case because SmackDown hasn't seen the Street Profits ever. Even though they started on SmackDown and now they're back, and they just happened to be in their blue because nobody knew they were getting drafted to what. But yes,
stupid.
There they are in their blue, ready to go.
They have a whole truck full of pajamas. Don't worry.
Right? Yeah, I know.
Matching
a whole bus. But again, and look. But here's the thing: I'm okay with this match because it was Braun Strowman and Ricochet who weren't drafted. You've got Latino World Order who weren't drafted, and Street Profits who were. It's a showcase for them. Put them in a
Braun
triple
and Ricochet remembered that Braun threw Ricochet right to the flour. I mean,
right?
It was fine.
Yeah, and then you were have that again, like, okay, let's do it, and then it worked this time. And the whole thing. So there was some look of the matches. This was a more entertaining match. It was it was a Gaga match. Look, seeing some of this stuff. You had guys like Ricochet with the Latino World Order guys who were all flippy shit guys. Impressive to say the least. There was that one move where Del Toro, like Ricochet, is coming to the corner and he just did that slick move right through to get out of the corner through the ropes to avoid it. There were some really interesting things I think happened here, but in a way, I felt sad because it almost felt wasted because it was on a show that was so meh, and I personally, was like, okay, this is fun. I enjoyed this, especially the, all right, I'm going to do it this time. I promise. It'll be real. It'll be good. We'll make it work with Braun Strowman and Ricochet. And Ricochet, like you said, Jeff, does the whole, okay, here we go. I'm trusting you. And then they do it. Seeing some of these guys fly through the air and then watching Braun do his truck thing and then watching Dawkins just leapfrog him was pretty damn impressive. There were some impressive things that happened in this match that were a lot of fun, and I felt, and I've always been a Street Profits guy. I feel like they bring an energy that I think is going to be needed on SmackDown that has been missing for a while. It seems like every time they make an appearance on the screen, there is like an energy that is brought out, and I think that was brought out with the other two teams in this match. Not necessarily on their faces with Braun and Ricochet a little bit more, but even with the Latino World Order, knowing they're going to be able to do some of the stuff that they really enjoy doing, it felt like the Street Profits were the catalyst for that energy for this show. I don't know what you guys think. Am I wrong in that perception, or is this a good? But now a 3-pick is a 3-pick for the Street Profits. A pretty did that feel out of place?
Yes, but I think that was more about just keeping the married people together. This match, I think, had some good parts, but I think it was also very sloppy. Braun looked clumsy a bunch of times. A bunch of the moves actually missed. It was a little bit discombobulated. I wouldn't be surprised if they told them that it was going on last minute. But at the same time, there was like really good and really bad. But I think that both of the guys from Latino World Order wanted the crowd to know that they could do moves like Commander could also. They can also balance on the top rope and springboard off. They're also really athletic, so swell for them. But I don't know if WWE was saying we're going to get a lot of people because it's the draft, so our ratings are going to be higher. They're going to be like, there's a lot of playoffs on tonight. Whatever it was. I thought the match was fine. I don't think it was a classic, but as we pointed out earlier, everybody who got drafted tonight won a match.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I think this is. I don't know. I think it was funny. I think maybe they highlighted the fact that maybe the Street Profits might become the SmackDown champs, because at one point Michael Cole goes, "Here comes the Street Profits, your SmackDown newly drafted wrestling." He held it for a minute like he was trying to say, "I don't want to say champs. What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say?" He lost it for a second there, and he was trying to figure out what to say. And which, look, I'm okay with that if they split the belts and do a go back to, if they do a world title, for whatever, however they do the belts, if they have branded belts for each show. I like them as champs. I think they're good. I think that it's going to be a good deal.
Did John freeze or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I'm agnostic on the Street Profits. I mean, I think that they're okay. I think that they both have potential. I think Ford is more of the star, but whatever. They're fine as a team. Do I think that 3 was a pick higher than they should be? Yeah, but at this point, I knew that things were going to stop making sense.
Yeah.
Oh, he's back. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Look,
I was looking up SmackDown results. I was like, all right, I guess I'll be.
No, I don't know what happened here. Yeah, okay. You might want to have it just in case. But what do we think about Imperium going to Raw? I mean, is that
keep him away from Roman?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's all it was done for, and that's exactly why. But the problem here is they need to build a big heel for SmackDown now to feed to Roman. That's the problem, and I just feel like who's going to be that
face.
guy? I mean a baby face. Sorry, I mean a baby face. Yeah, my bad. Who's going to be that person? Drew McIntyre?
Well, they got Raw. No, he's on Raw, but they have Edge.
Oh, did he get?
Edge.
Okay,
they have
sorry.
Lashley.
Oh yeah, Edge. Yeah, but just to lose, and then Lashley to lose. AJ Styles definitely to lose.
Edge is there to lose. I don't understand why everybody thinks that Edge should be winning anything. He's
Edge,
50 years old.
Right. As somebody said earlier, Roman's going to retire Edge. He's going to.
Well, then SmackDown's going to be one boring ass show, man. If it's going to be like this, where just Roman's going to plow through everyone still.
Why? That's what he's been doing for the last 2.5 years.
I get that. So we're going to have another 2.5 year run of Roman still? I mean...
Well, that's the thing. Over the next year, you're going to see more and more this consistent chipping away of what the bloodline is and how it gets less and less powerful and less cohesive. And eventually, you're going to have a situation where... Yeah, maybe Solo finally snaps and is like, you know what? You're not my tribal chief anymore. I mean, you have all kinds of interesting things that you can do over the next year where Roman still wins the matches, but you can progress the story. I mean, and I think, again, who are you going to build on SmackDown right now who's going to be able to eventually take the belt off of Roman? I just don't see that happening.
And that's the
issue. That's the greatest problem in the world. Plus, there's free agents that are going to emerge that may be an infusion.
But how? Why are they free agents? But
what difference does it make? Because they got a better contract from WWE than AEW.
Oh, you're talking about legit free agents now from other companies. I thought you meant.
There might be call-ups from NXT. Right. You could throw, everyone seems to love Braun Breaker. I don't know why you're so negative about everything. I mean, there are things out there. And
I've been negative more on the SmackDown side.
If Roman wins another year, cool. I don't know why that's such a bad thing. It's the way he wins and who the opponents are, and he's going to have certain wins where it's one and out, like an Edge or Nakamura or some shit like that.
They could have had Sami Zayn being that babyface. They fucked that.
Sami Zayn.
They fucked that up.
Sami
Exactly,
Zayn
because now it doesn't mean shit.
He's big as a minor leaguer. Let him. This is his apex. Let him enjoy it. You make him world champion. The next day, nobody's interested. He looks eminently beatable.
Which isn't bad. I mean, look, being eminently beatable as champion isn't the worst thing in the world. Mick Foley was eminently beatable.
I knew you were going to say
that. He still had a great quick
pound.
run as champion.
But he was sadistic, though, Chris. That's the thing. He was very sadistic and crazy.
Well, not when he won. He wasn't. By the time he won the title, he was a fucking teddy bear. Come on.
I know. Yeah. That's true. But technically. What happened? Why did he...
Oh, he's got to go. He's got his Atlantis author.
Oh shit!
Interview. He
had
a heart out. Well,
I just wanted to say. I mean, in this previous segment here, Jeff telling someone else to be less negative about something.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right. Yeah.
Spot on.
But I think that that's where we haven't seen Roman. We've been building Walter with the brand on SmackDown. We've been featuring other people. This is an opportunity to let Roman rest and do the things and build the stuff up so that we can get that. And that's the whole purpose behind it. Jimmy is doing those things as we move forward. Oh, do that on the air. People love hear chewing in the air, Chris. That's just make it happen. Yeah. But I think that's where WWE has been trying to step back a little bit is, let's go here. Let's tell these other stories because Roman is so dominant so that we can build up these other people. And that's the whole purpose behind it, And so, then we have our next picks, which were done by JBL and Teddy Long. JBL doing the picks for SmackDown, Teddy Long doing the picks for Raw. And then we had, so number 5 for SmackDown was Bobby Lashley, which I'm excited for. Because I like Bobby Lashley. I think he's credible. Again, this is someone you could build up to go after Roman. Whether he wins or loses, who cares? But the point is, he's been a champion. If he does beat Roman, cool. If he doesn't, cool. But we can build him up, and he looks like a badass. So that was our number 5. I'd like to think
that he could beat Roman because he'd be a great guy to get the win over Roman.
Right, but we build to that. We get him there to that. We let them do that kind of thing. And then number 5 for Raw was Drew McIntyre, which I was like, good, bye, later, Drew, go to Raw and do your thing. Go have fun with that. I don't.
Raw seems like it's going to be a lot more even, if that makes any sense, compared to SmackDown, because SmackDown's starting to look a little lopsided to me. But
and that's just the way people have gotten over and how they work themselves. I think that's part of it too. And so then after the 6th pick, we had the OC, in which I was like, wait, who? Oh, yeah, AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, and Michin, which cracked me up when they brought them out. Man. And they called her Mia Yim in the auditorium in Corpus Christi. You could hear the ring announcer go, man, Mia Yim. And they just said Michin, and you're just like, ooh, somebody's getting fired or getting talked to. Sure. Yeah. And then the 6th pick for Raw was The Miz. So, guys, to me personally, Bobby Lashley is the standout pick here for this round. I think he's the one that makes the most sense, and I'm excited to see him come over to SmackDown for a fresh paint of coat on this one. But who was your pick? What do you think? And by the way, we have the return of the OC, who hasn't been on TV, and I can't remember how long they've been on the OC.
It's been at least 3 to 5 weeks, man, at least.
More than that. I feel like
maybe more, yeah. Maybe
like months. More. I feel like it's been a few months since they've been on.
It was before we even started being on the show, Jimmy.
Really? Nah, not that long. Surely.
I guarantee you it was that long.
I can't recall the last time I've seen them on any kind of TV whatsoever. So this was a surprising pick to me, especially for how high it was. And again, we're not breaking up. This is where I'm wondering are they really going to break people up? Because, we so far at this point, the OC. This was an opportunity. You could have broken Michin off. You could have done Gallows and Anderson off. You could have had AJ be his own thing, but they kept them all together. And so that's where I'm wondering, are they going to truly break somebody up in the draft here? What do you guys think? Will it happen, or do you think they're saving that for Raw?
I think that they'll probably have at least one, so that they can point to it and go, "Oh, this is the randomness of the draw, and you never know what's gonna happen in WWE." And they're gonna do the same thing they've always done with that, where they have at least one to point to. But I don't think that it's going to be a big part of it. I don't think that they're going to be splitting up all kinds of people, because, like you said, I mean, the OC, like, is this a thing? Is it really, like, this is a thing?
I thought it was a TV show.
And I personally love the group. I honestly think that one of the biggest ball drops from the WWE over the last 10 years is that Gallows and Anderson aren't a bigger deal. I think that they are good enough.
I agree, man.
They're talented enough. They're charismatic enough that these guys should have been, like, multiple-time tag team champions. They should be the kind of people where when they show up, everybody goes, "Oh shit! Look, there they are."
A lot of people love shitting on them, though, man. But I'm surprised you said that, Chris. I like that, because I'm a fan of theirs too. Yeah, sure, they're poor man sort of outsiders, right? But still, they're pretty decent for a tag team, in my opinion, anyway. But we'll see what they do with them, because it feels like WWE have just brought them back to do nothing with them. I'm assuming it's because of AJ, but even then, they could have still done their own thing.
Look, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing is, who knows why they're doing what they're doing with them? Who knows what the dealio is? I mean, they bring them back for a moment, they make them hot, and then they disappear. Who knows? I can't say if they've got heat with the office, whatever it is, but hey, they're still paying them to be there. And guess what? Those two guys have said many a time that they would be paid and not wrestle or do whatever, and that's fine with them. It's not like it's
They also said that they'll never go back to WWE, and here we are.
Look, it's wrestling. Look what Cody did, smashing a throne with Triple H's gear on it, and here he is back in the WWE too. So, that's beside the point. I think the bigger point is that it's just very interesting with what was available, the picks, that we have Miz going as a 6th pick to Raw. That I was like, okay, like, look, Miz is entertaining. I think it goes back to the fact that, we have somebody like LA Knight that, we could go to Raw with it, and that would be entertaining. And then I think the Miz would be too. Could you even see a tag team with the Miz and LA Knight?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say, and I'm worried though, man, if they do that. I mean,
who knows?
It could work though. It could work.
It could work, but of these picks, they were definitely interesting, and I think Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre switching places, I think it's going to be good for both of them in the long run down the road. And then, of course, after that, we see the OC come out. Well, no, I'm sorry. That was the Sonya Deville versus Zelina Vega match, because then the OC came out later, I think, or I don't remember when they came out. But they came out, and then the Viking Raiders came out, and AJ Styles shits on them for being stupid and coming out. Oh yeah, 3 against 4. That was real smart. And he says, "I'm gonna go stand in this corner. OC, handle your business." And the Viking Raiders get beat up. And I'm thinking, okay, here come the Viking Raiders. Cool. We're gonna have a match. It's gonna be like Ring of Honor, New Japan days, where you have Gallows and Anderson versus the Viking Raiders. Let's go win. No, they shit on the Viking Raiders.
Well, and this could have been done so much better. I mean, this could have been a 2-minute squash match for the Viking Raiders against local enhancement talent. And then as they're standing in the ring, the OC come out, and then AJ says, "Get out of the ring." I see. It's 3 on. It's 3 on 4. Sorry, I'll back up here. OC, handle your business. And then you've got a segment that's not much longer than what we saw, right? Like I said, it just needs to be a 2-minute squash for the Viking Raiders to go over local enhancement talent. And then you've got a situation where both teams got over a little bit. Both teams elevated a bit. Both teams moved up a little bit, instead of just Viking Raiders come out looking like fucking idiots because they're trying to take on 4 people. And then, they got the shit kicked out of them anyway. So double buried for the Viking Raiders, and the OC looked strong, but they could have looked just as strong coming out and beating them up anyway. So
Yeah. I mean, just I mean, especially because look, they had a match. Sure, it was a squash match, but they've already wrestled. They've expended themselves. Okay, well, let's now let's jump them now. Okay, cool. So I don't know. Look, this was an interesting aspect. Then we have the match with Chelsea Green on the sidelines with Sonya Deville versus Zelina Vega, and good Lord, they do not do Zelina Vega any favors by making her look small. I mean,
Jesus, this commentary too.
Yeah.
I mean, the commentary was rough on her. I mean, like, I don't know if I've seen many worse examples of commentary, to be honest with you. I mean, literally at one point, Michael Cole said, is it probable that she'll win? No. Is it possible? Probably not. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. No.
Well, let's be honest, guys. I mean, other than her looks, she sucks.
Yeah. She's a cosplay queen. Look,
that's all she is.
She's got nice boobs, she's ripped, and she looks good and wearing very little clothing. That's the reason why she is out there. I mean, that was the reason. That was the whole point of it. And and then now they've shoehorned that I'm Puerto Rican, so we're gonna go to Puerto Rico. So put me in a match for the championship okay, cool.
So then bring up real life, like bring up things that have happened in real life. Talk about, people are counting her out, and Michael Cole saying like, and I understand why people might be counting her out, but don't forget about Buster Douglas in Tokyo. Don't forget about this. Don't forget about the 1-2-3 kid going over Razor Ramon. Don't forget about
Douglas, man.
Yeah, of course she's not, Jimmy,
and
of
they
course
have
she's
brought up
gonna
real life.
lose. Of course they're going to lose, but you don't want to fucking sell that on commentary.
Right.
Well, look at her. She sells herself as a loser just by looking at her. But
and so did Buster Douglas in Tokyo, and so
I
did
get you.
every
If she was
major
like Rey
underdog
Mysterio,
who's ever won.
If she was like Rey Mysterio and could actually wrestle, then that's a whole different ball game. You can go that way because then maybe she's got a chance. But she's useless. Like, as a professional wrestler in the ring, she does nothing.
And we understand that, Jimmy, but I think Todd is saying that. You can't bear her like that in commentary. That's the point we're trying to get across.
That's
that's what we're trying to get across is like, we all know that. Look, she's there for boobs. We saw that her top was working overtime. I mean, when she fell out of the ring, I thought she was trying to keep her top from falling off after the end of the match. I mean, look, and I ain't arguing with that. I was not mad at that either. But like, for fuck's sake, when she's in the ring, her head barely comes over the top rope.
Literally, it's
and then
true,
she's
man.
in there with Sonya Deville, who makes her look like, a little person. And on top of all that, and I mean, just makes her look whatever. And by the way, I don't know. And I mean, I know she does, but like, which is funny because my friend was there and they're like, oh my God, Chelsea Green, does she have big boobs? Because I didn't realize that until now because of the outfit she was wearing that night, that crop top made her look like she had ginormous boobs, which I'm like, I don't know, but Zack Ryder is a very lucky man. That's all I'm saying.
He is. And he's been lucky all throughout his career, prick.
But, they did her no favors with the way they shot her, the way she looked. Yeah, sure, she came out with that sun goddess, whatever, two-piece outfit thingy and looked great, as far as, wanting to see her with clothes off and stuff like that. But, when it goes into the ring, it was just whatever. She wins with a roll-up. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. But I think the thing that we're trying to say is that commentary did her no favors. They put her under, and what Chris is trying to say is at least try to sell it as best as you can with those examples and saying, Buster Douglas, nobody thought that was going to be a thing. And yet here he is in Tokyo and he ends up winning it with a lucky punch. It was a lucky punt.
If you would have bet $100
do
on
that,
Buster,
though.
if you would have bet $100 on Buster Douglas to win that night in Tokyo, you could have walked away with $100,000 at the end of the night.
Right.
Don't count out Zelina Vega as she goes in this match against the overwhelming favorite, against the person who we believe will defeat her. But don't count her out. There's always a chance, and anything can happen in the WWE. That is so much better. That is so much better to sell.
I would agree if she knew how to work in the ring. The
But we're
problem
not
for me
talking
is
about that.
she
They
doesn't.
can't
But
put-
that matters.
They can't put
It
it over,
matters.
Jimmy. They cannot
was it
on
to put
commentary
over?
be like, well,
I
she
get
can't
that,
wrestle,
but-
so
Yeah.
they
No,
can't
but
do
really,
that.
if they wanted to be honest, right? She's not on the level of Rhea Ripley,
Yeah,
right?
but
We
they
all know
can't
that. I
be
get
honest.
that, right?
They can't be honest on commentary.
Right,
Not
and
like
that's the
that.
problem is they were, and they can't do that because you're trying to sell a pay-per-view, and it's the whole point of how.
I don't think they give a shit about Backlash at this point. Straight up, like, look at it. Look at the way it's being booked. Look at the whole card. They couldn't care less about this.
I'm
pay-per-view.
not disagreeing with
Or
you on
PLE.
that, but they've got to. They've got to do a better job than something like that. Again, this goes back to the laziness factor that we keep talking about. This was just, okay, yeah, fine, whatever. I mean, it made Michael Cole sound like he doesn't give a shit about Zelina Vega. And I mean, this is your head commentator for the entirety of WWE. You can't have him do that. So now Zelina Vega is not only buried, she's dead and buried at this point. There's like,
she was going to go nowhere after this event anyway.
But you don't do that, Jimmy. Like, that's the whole point.
I know, but that's the fact, man. They're not going. They weren't going to do anything with it.
If you're on commentary, you need to give a person an opportunity to get over. You can't bury people.
Yeah, and that's the job as a commentator, Jimmy.
Unless the story is to bury them. Like,
right.
If that's the story, then bury them. Then do the whole laugh at them on commentary as they're fucking up. But that's not the story here. The story is supposed to be that she's going to go in there fighting because it's her hometown.
In her hometown,
et cetera. Yeah. They had to sell this better.
Yeah. They should have sold this. The real life thing about Zelina, though, is that her father passed away on September 11th.
They've used that so much.
I know, with nauseum, I know that, right? But you could go there again, right? Just to give her that fighting chance. I'm going to fight for my family, for my dad, and I'm going to prove to everyone that I'm not just fucking TNA. You know what I mean? But we're not even getting that type of promo.
Yeah, she's waiting. Before she does the "I'm doing this for my dad" promo, they're gonna have to get her to the point where she's ready to win something, and she's not right now. So she's trying to do the best she can to get over by saying, "I know I'm small, I know I'm the underdog, but I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna do everything I can in my hometown, etc. I'm gonna try to make Puerto Rico proud." You know what I mean? And you can have her go over, but still get a couple of near falls in the match. That's fine. But on commentary,
they probably will give her that though.
Yeah, but on commentary, you can't just bury a person and say, "Is it probable? No. Is it possible? Probably not." That's not the right way to fucking sell this. They need to try to sell it.
That's being realistic, though, guys.
No,
if you were in a real fight, hold on a minute, wait. If you're watching a boxing match, right, and you really had the real underdog, right, that came out of the blue against the biggest, baddest champion you can put whoever there, right, whatever division.
Buster Douglas versus Tyson in Tokyo.
Okay,
yep.
Right. I'm sure back then, I'm not sure what they said, but they could have said, "Oh, Buster probably has no chance." But wasn't Buster undefeated at that time, though?
No, Douglas had multiple losses.
Are you
already.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay, all right. But whatever the case, right? The thing is, Buster Douglas is more believable, even though Tyson was absolutely destroying shit, right?
He was like a 35-1 underdog, Jimmy.
I get that, but if there was betting now, and there is, imagine the odds between Zelina versus Rhea right now. Mm-hmm. It would be bigger than that.
I don't know that it would. I don't think that it would. I mean, and if you would have said that the Mets couldn't possibly have turned around and won the World Series after being last place that one time or whatever, you'd say that was impossible.
That's
the St. Louis Blues, the year that they won the Stanley Cup just recently, on the 1st of January, they were the 30th of 30 teams in the NHL. They turned it around, made the playoffs, won the title. Mm-hmm. So these kinds of things happen,
but
and
still
your
not even
job
them,
on
though.
commentary. Yeah, I know, Jimmy. but her actual skills is not what you're fucking commentating on when you're a commentator.
Okay, but this is supposed to be a simulated fight, correct?
Yes.
So then why does it matter?
Because you have to sell it.
Yeah.
Well, to me, if they were saying, "Oh, she's got a fighting chance," that's not selling it to me because I'll be
Well,
like,
don't say it like that. Compare her to Buster Douglas. Compare her to all the huge underdogs who have come back. But say there's a possibility.
Yeah. Hey, look, she's going to have an incredible fighting spirit in her hometown. You're not saying she's going to win. You're just saying that, look, she's going to put up a fight in her hometown. That's how
again,
you get
this is
her
a damned
over.
if you do and damned if you don't situation because the truth is, I bet you they were thinking of what the fans would be thinking by them saying that. Because if they were trying to sell that she had a chance to beat Rhea Ripley, everyone would probably fucking shit on that too. So they're trying to play to the marks.
But you don't.
You know what I mean?
That's the whole point. You're not selling. I just told you how you say it without.
And frankly,
but to me, I wouldn't be able to believe it. That's the problem.
There
Even if
is
you
still
sold
a
it.
chance. There is still a chance she beats Rhea Ripley at Backlash.
Yeah. Who says the LWO doesn't come out and beat the shit out of Rhea Ripley?
Never mind that. Who says that Rhea Ripley doesn't break her fucking ankle 2 minutes into the match and she has to just take the pin or she has to take the count out or she has to take whatever? And like that happens in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing about this. Like it is simulated. It is something that like obviously unless something like that happens, Rhea Ripley's going to annihilate this woman. Mm-hmm. But like there's always a possibility. You have to and when you're on commentary, your job is to try to get over the possibilities.
Yeah, and Jimmy, that's I think the thing you don't realize. When you are a commentator for wrestling, your job is to call the action, but to get over the wrestlers. That is your job.
Obviously.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Because I mean that you're not saying that. That's look whether you
No, you're not getting, but you're not understanding here. You're right,
matter,
but you
Jimmy.
guys aren't getting the point. It's Zelina Vega, guys. We're talking about Zelina Vega here against Rhea Ripley.
Exactly, but that's not the
So let's
point,
be
Jimmy.
honest. There's no selling this to me. I just don't see it.
to.
Unless
Rey
she was decent.
Rey Mysterio literally beat
Decent
Kevin
in the
Nash.
ring. Difference. I said that before.
You
If she
can't
could wrestle
say-
as Rey Mysterio, then you can build it like that.
Jimmy,
I don't know why you guys,
Jimmy,
it's my opinion, so it doesn't really matter
Jimmy,
what you guys are
Jimmy,
trying to say to me.
Jimmy, I get what you're saying. You cannot, on commentary, say she can't fucking wrestle, so she's got no chance of winning.
Right.
You're right, she can't fucking wrestle. She's not good. But when you're on commentary, you can't be like, she can't fucking wrestle, she's no good. That's literally the opposite of what the fucking commentary is meant to be.
Labrat in the chat says a real thing. Look, he says Rhea beating and beating scary guys, but we'll probably go 50-50 with Vega, which is bad on Rhea to me.
And that's not the right booking. That's not how it should be booked. It should be booked that Rhea Ripley beats the shit out of her, but she gets a couple of hope spots.
So then why does she have a fighting chance? That's what I'm trying to say.
Because if you're on commentary, your job is to sell that there's a chance. Jimmy, try to remember that wrestling is a business. You want people to tune in because they don't know what's going to happen.
Is Zelina a merch seller?
Already know what's going to happen. If people already know what's going to happen, they will not tune in because they already know what's going to happen.
And everyone's already going to expect that, even if you sell her that she's got a chance. No one's going to realistically think, regardless how you sell this match. 100%.
I can't.
Unless it's a kid, unless it's a child.
Jimmy, honestly, I can't understand I can't understand why you're on this. Like I
don't understand why you guys are on it. We're talking about Zelina Vega, man.
Let me ask you this question. Okay, Jimmy, let's go this route. Okay. All right. Let me give you this. So I'm gonna use a local example. Lance Archer, friend of mine, good dude, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
6'8", 275. He was wrestling VIP wrestling at the time. Their champ was Barrett Brown, New Japan Strong. Barrett Brown, cruiserweight. Barrett Brown is 5'5". He is way smaller than me by a long shot. He was the heavyweight champ. There was a match between Lance Archer and Barrett Brown. Do you think at any point in commentary or anything like that, they said, there's no fucking way Lance Archer loses to Barrett Brown? No, they put it over. Barrett won. The whole point was, and it was a David versus Goliath match. That's why you have these matches. Sometimes David loses in a David and Goliath match. Sometimes they lose. And
There's a
the whole
problem,
point-
though.
It doesn't matter, Jimmy.
Lance
The point
Archer
is-
loses to small guys all the time on television. You see the problem
now.
there?
This is
And
back in the
that-
day.
Right, but
and that's
This is
wrong
back
for
in the day.
it
booking.
is wrong. I
And that's
totally
the wrong
agree. That is wrong.
booking. But
Absolutely.
commentary has to sell the pay-per-view. That's literally
It's
what
for
they're
free,
there for.
essentially, though, the paper. You're not even paying for this shit.
But it's for free for you, maybe for people in the States who have the fucking network. There's still pay-per-view in all of Europe.
Yeah.
It's still pay-per-view in almost every other part of the world, Jimmy. They're still making
Thank you,
lots of
Ben.
money on pay-per-view.
Thank you, Aaron, for agreeing with me in the chat. I'm just saying because I'm sorry, guys. I don't know, man. It doesn't work for me. That's just my opinion. I don't know, but
Look,
that's
No,
just how I think.
Media M5 is actually right. Commentary can't say, hey, we're having pay-per-view in Puerto Rico. Here's a small Puerto Rican heritage girl from New York City. Watch her get her ass kicked by a huge Aussie girl. They got to try and make it worth people buying. They have to try. That is their job. That is literally their job, is to try to make you think, well, there's a possibility though. If they just come out, if they come out every fucking time and just say, well,
Again,
you know,
if she could
here we
wrestle,
go.
yes,
Here
I
we go.
agree. But
Jimmy, why the fuck
It
are
doesn't
you
matter. You're not
conflating
gonna
her
change my
real-life
opinion. It
skills?
doesn't matter.
Why are you conflating her real life skills with what's on
because it's
fucking
supposed to be
kayfabe,
selling
dude?
the match, right?
Yeah, kayfabe.
God.
It's fucking
Kayfabe,
kayfabe.
right? Kayfabe. But we all know she can't work for shit. If kayfabe mattered at this point, which it doesn't, it seems
is
invested.
literally ignoring the reality of the
Right.
situation.
Right.
Whatever, man. It doesn't matter. I'm not changing my opinion on this. It's just, it is what it is. You know what I mean? For me. Because that's not the match that you're selling as the headliner, though. You know what I mean? That is not the headliner match. It's not the main event. So what are you trying to sell? Who's going to buy to
You're
see that
trying
match
to
in particular?
sell a Puerto Rican native is.
She's not a Puerto Rican native, though. She's born in New York.
She was born in yes, but her parents are from Puerto Rico. She is Puerto Rican heritage. How about this? Puerto Rican heritage girl from New York City. She's going to get her ass kicked by an Australian, but she's doing it in the place where her family and heritage is from. Yes, that's the whole point. That's the story you're telling, Jimmy. That would be like, oh, well, why the fuck am I going to put anybody up against Roman Reigns because he's just going to win? Like, fuck it. Like, fuck it. There's no point. There's no point. With your
But it's not the
logic,
same thing, though. That's not the same
It is
thing.
exactly
How
the
is it the
same
same
It is
thing?
exactly
If Roman
the same
is going
thing.
up against someone that can actually go in the ring, it's not the same
It
thing.
doesn't fucking matter if they
my
can
God.
go in the ring in real life.
Oh, my
Commentary is not supposed to bring up real life. They're not even supposed
Right.
to be talking about real life. They're supposed to be talking about what the kayfabe
All right, so
story
let's just
is.
bullshit. So then we need Superman, we need fucking Batman, and we just let's just pretend
That's
she
what
can wrestle
wrestling
there.
is, Jimmy.
Let's pretend, but
Roman
they don't
Reigns
do it
isn't
this
even
way,
his,
though.
his real name. Roman Reigns isn't his
Right.
real name. He's a made up created character that wrestles
Right,
on TV.
that's true.
You know,
but that's not the point. This is not what we're talking about, though. We're not talking about what their
Well, let's
bullshit
talk
name
about
is
this
and
point
whatnot.
then. Let's talk about this point. Zelina Vega wins with a roll up. Then Rhea Ripley drop kicks the shit out of her from behind. And then, I would be genuinely stunned if Rhea did that to me. And then somehow, when Rhea is going to go beat her up, Sonya Deville, for some reason, steps in and is like, what the fuck are you doing? And tries to stand up for Zelina Vega or whatever. And then in that moment, they gave just enough time for Rhea to go for her riptide, but Zelina turned it into a DDT, right? And okay.
If she could even do a DDT, jeez.
She
Seriously.
did it. I mean, she pulled it off, and she did it.
No, I know,
But the point is like, let's talk. If we're going to talk reality, then it's like, in all reality, that should never have happened because she should have been knocked the fuck out when Rhea Ripley drop kicks her from behind and makes her look like a fucking because she's hit her so hard.
No, listen, if we're going to do commentary the way that Jimmy apparently wants commentary to be done, we're just
I'm
gonna
not saying
say,
that's the
hey,
right
what a
thing to
great
do.
job by
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley to
You're
sell
putting
that.
words in my mouth. Hold on. I never said
selling that DDT
I
that
never
she
said
didn't actually
what-
get hurt on.
Wait. Don't put words in my mouth. I never said that what the commentators said is right. But truth be told, it's Zelina Vega against Rhea Ripley. The way they've booked Zelina, right? How else are you going to put it? Oh, she's got a fighting chance?
She's
because
got
she's in Puerto
a
Rico?
chance. No,
Of course she's got a chance, but is it probable? Is it probable?
No, you can absolutely
That's
say,
what they said. That's exactly what they said.
They literally said, is it probable? No. Is it possible?
Yeah.
Probably not. That's
Probably
not the
not.
right way to fucking commentate on this. The
It's
right way to
Zelina
commentate
fucking
on this.
Vega, for crying out loud. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
All right, we're not going to agree about this.
All right,
Let's
anyway.
move
Yeah,
on.
I'm not going to agree with this, man.
Shh. We're already moving on because I've already said the more unbelievable thing is Zelina Vega pulling off a DDT on Rhea Ripley after getting drop kicked the shit out of by Rhea Ripley. But the point of and then of course after that, the only other real believable thing is that Zelina Vega's top was about to fall off when she was coming out of that ring because of that. Then they had the backstage segment, which again did her no favors because when Rey Mysterio comes in and he is about. By the way, I looked this up. He is 5'6". Okay,
Who?
Rey Mysterio is 5'6".
He's taller than I thought. Even though I've been next to him before, I was a lot taller than him.
He's 5'6". Zelina Vega made him look like a giant, and made Santos Escobar look huge. Look, the point is, I understand all this, but the point is they did her no favors last night. They did her zero favors on what they were going to do. Why have the match is the point, and unless you're doing the cultural thing and all that fun stuff. Then we had the promo where Bad Bunny and them come out, JBL and Teddy Long come out for the they did that match. Then we have after this match, we have we've done all of our picks. Oh no, we didn't do all the picks, right? I don't remember.
No.
Oh no. After this is when the Santa Bar, then the OC came out. Then we had Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg come out for the final picks. And this is where I knew, okay, this is NXT people who are getting picked because Shawn Michael and Road Dogg came out for each other. And I'm like going, okay. So we had DX start the show with Triple H and DX end the show with Road Dogg and them. And now here we go. So our first pick for the last round was pick number 7 for SmackDown was Damage Control, which Michael Cole was totally enthusiastic about. And then we have Raw. We have Shinsuke Nakamura, who moves over to Raw. So we have that movement right there, which I found very interesting. And then our last pick 8 for the night for SmackDown, we have Alba Fire and however you say Isla or Isla Dawn or whatever. I don't care. It's NXT. For the women who are the current NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, who are now coming to SmackDown, and then Indy Hartwell, the current Women's NXT Champion, who's going to go to Raw. Honestly, what? I mean, I know. I see. This is where I thought, if they're going to do anything, Pretty Deadly is going to come up because Pretty Deadly was thrown into a river by the whatchamacallits, the fake Italian guys on this week's NXT. So surely that meant
Don Tony,
whatever his name is. I don't know. He's just some fake Italian looking dude. I know they got thrown into a river by them after a car trunk match or something.
Right.
And it was like, well, so
Mafia hit.
Surely they're eligible for the draft because they're dead. Because that's how wrestling works, right? You're dead in NXT, so now you're eligible for the draft for Raw and SmackDown. But look, these picks made no sense to me whatsoever. These last 2 picks, unless it was just a way, hey, don't forget about Shawn Michaels and them over in NXT. Go check out what they're doing because these 2 are coming up. If you're trying to sell NXT, what? Like, no, give me Braun Breaker at least. Give me, any of those other guys that are over there. These were the 2 most underwhelming picks of the night. I don't know about you guys, but I felt like these were the 2 most out of left field, what the heck, underwhelming picks of the night. Am I wrong on this, gentlemen? Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. These were both kind of head scratchers in that, first of all, they're the champs, which means that generally with NXT, what's going to happen is that they're going to lose their next major matches or whatever, and then they'll show up on the roster, or they'll do time on both until they lose their title on NXT. I don't know. Are any of these people ready? And as far as like Isla Dawn and what's the other one's name? Alba
Alba,
Fire.
yeah.
They're meant to be like witches, right? That's like their gimmick. They're the evil witches or whatever. Crying and hugging each other because you've been drafted is really fucking stupid. And I know that it's like I know that people were like, oh, have them, they should be legitimate reactions. If I'm a professional wrestler and I know there's a fucking camera on me and it's the draft and somebody comes up and says you've just been drafted, if my gimmick is that I'm a fucking witch, I'm going to go, good. I'll see you soon, Raw. And then I'm going to fuck off. Okay. If my gimmick is that I'm a big bad motherfucker and I just want to hurt people and they say, oh, you've been drafted to Raw, I'm going to go, more people whose asses I can kick. Fucking rights. Like, you have to get over your fucking character. Don't just be happy. Yay! We're going to Raw. We've been drafted. Oh my god, this is wonderful.
The problem is they don't allow them to. That's the thing, though, man. You know what I mean?
They don't allow them to.
Well, they don't. I mean, otherwise they would have said something like that, right? I mean,
I wouldn't. I mean, listen. If I'm a wrestler, it's my job to get over. It's my job to be in gimmick. So if somebody's got a fucking camera on me, I'm in character. I don't care what they say. If the people with the camera are going, yeah, we want to get your genuine reactions, I'm going to go, okay, cool. And then when they put the fucking camera on me, I'm still going to be in character. And they're going to go, oh, but we wanted your genuine reaction. And I'm going to go, that is my character's genuine reaction.
Right. Well, I'm hoping it wasn't their genuine reaction, because if that was, then they suck. But Amber Fire has improved. I can't stand her accent. I can't stand her look, really. But in saying that, she's become a lot better than what she was, say, a year ago, right? Much better. But Indy Hartwell, on the other hand, she's been marinating in NXT for so long now. Really, it was time.
She's either ready or she's not.
Yeah.
That's right. It was time. Now it's either sink or swim. We'll truly see if
or as we say here in the States, shit or get off the pot.
Shit or get off the pot. So whatever the case, we'll find out now if she's worthy or not. The only thing I'm worried about with her, we're going to have Gargano, we're going to have Theory, and we're going to have Indy now and Gargano's wife. Could we get the way once again?
They're gonna. Well, that was showed last night that between Dexter Lumis, Austin Theory, the whole way is on Raw. That might be the only thing that saves her. But here's the thing: if those who you felt are your best, by the way, the reason why, and I just found this out, is LaDawn and Alba, whatever, they're together.
Isla.
Whatever. I don't give a shit. They're both Scottish, apparently. The whole bit. And they start fighting, though? Wasn't it that one of them came in and started fighting the other one, and now they're tag team champions? Obviously,
some shit like that.
You know how well I pay attention to NXT, because the last I remember, one of them was fighting the other one, and then now all of a sudden they're tag team champions because we're the three best friends that ain't could ever have. Look, this was whatever. I was upset losing Shinsuke to Raw.
Sorry.
About time, though.
Sorry, from the chat here. Emlotech, who's who? I need to know who's who for this comment.
That's Canadian Spaceman. That's really Canadian Spaceman.
Oh, Canadian Spaceman. Who's who? I need to know. So let's be more clear about that.
I figured it out by the way he talks that he's 100% Canadian Spaceman. Am I wrong, Mr. Low-Tech?
Right. Who knows?
I have to piss. I'll be right back.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, we're almost done here anyway. We'll wrap it up. Because I think we have left is the championship match, which I saw some of, but then I had to leave to go get my kid. So the beginning of it was just the bell rings and, hey, the Usos go after everybody, and it's really, really cool. And the Usos are double teaming Owens, and I heard him say, "Oh no, they're going after the leg that Kevin Owens got destroyed the other night on." Okay, yeah, all right, okay, cool, yeah, whatever. I knew, because I was like, okay, this is going to be a 3-segment match. I'm not going to get to see it all, and so I saw up to the point where they had been beating Kevin Owens pretty badly. And then and then they were showing that Owens was getting ready to go make a tag, but I didn't see that because I had to leave. So that's where I left off. So basically, they started off hot and they just beat the shit out of Kevin Owens for a while, banging up his knee. So after that, I didn't see anything. So you're gonna have to, Jimmy, kind of tell me what happened.
Well, essentially, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn win via Sami Zayn doing the haluva kick, 1, 2, 3. Honestly, I was zoning out with this match. It wasn't as good. I mean, it was all right. It was just whatever. It was a super kick party as per usual. I feel like it's the same shit now between these four guys, man. It's like they don't know how to work any differently anymore. Like, I feel really like it's just the same sort of roles. All right, hell of a kick, super kick, super kick, super kick, off the top rope, stunner, super kick again. It was just going through the motions. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens win the match, and they continue to tease Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn sort of being on the same page, but Kevin Owens is getting sort of jealous of Sami Zayn always trying to talk to the Usos and trying to, like, I don't know what he's trying to do. I guess make them come to their senses.
Right.
And honestly, this is getting stale at this point. Can we just end this shit already?
I mean, and I think that's, we've already used Sami Zayn as the catalyst to get the bloodline separated and the Usos separate from the thing.
Still lazy though, the way they're
doing it. And I'm not saying it's not, but that catalyst has been done, and you need. Look, now this is the point because they had their rematch and they lost, and Roman's going to be pissed and everything. Okay, cool. Now let Sami and Kevin go do their thing. Let the bloodline implode like they're supposed to. You've lit the match with Sami and them. Now let's let that go be its own thing. And Sami, and, let them focus on other things. Be done with it. I get what they're doing though, because Kevin has always turned on Sami, and Sami is being that annoying little brother who Kevin goes, "Who stop doing that? Stop it." How many times have you had a sibling who's younger than you or older than you, and you're like, "Stop it, until finally you just beat the shit out of them, right? That's what I feel like they're telling the story wise. Let them, yes, let the Usos go do their thing. The match has been lit, but the reason why they're doing it is because that whole like Kevin's the older brother and Sami's the younger brother. They're not listening until finally Kevin goes, "I've had enough. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you because you're not listening to me because you just keep doing the things I tell you not to do." Like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Well, I'm about to touch you. Boom. And that's what it's going to be. It's a thing that needs, they need to move on. They need,
exactly.
let Sami and Kevin do their thing. The Uso fuse has been lit. Go for it. I'm repeating myself now because it's just so.
No, but you're right though. I mean, you're repeating yourself, you say, but so is this. So are these four.
Yeah.
How else can you put it?
Let's move forward. Let's do the draft, get it over with, and let's move forward and figure out from there on that. So, Chris, we just kind of went over the main events real quick, talking about how Sami and Kevin won, and that Solo was down there to. We don't know who he was down there to look at. Probably the Usos, but. Who knows? We don't know for sure that next level Machiavellian, thing that Paul Heyman does with this storyline. But we said that they need to go their separate ways at this point. The fuse has been lit. Go forward. But the only reason why I could see still doing this or engaging with it was because they're trying. Kevin's like, I don't want to turn on Sami. But Sami keeps doing the stupid shit like a sibling will do. And moving forward, so, but do you think they need to just walk away from each other at this point, Chris?
These four, you mean? Or I think that they need to be drafted to different brands. I think it's probably important for everybody involved that they're not on the same show for a bit, and that they can have some time to sort of get over without the other. I think that Sami and Kevin can get over just fine without the Usos.
Yeah.
I think that Sami definitely was elevated by being a part of the bloodline for the time that he was, obviously. And I think that Kevin Owens and Sammy are a really good team. They're fun together. And you can do something different with them. You don't have to do the Kevin turns his back on him or whatever. You can actually just go their separate ways eventually. You could do something interesting like that. But that's a long way down the line, I think. And as far as the Usos, I think that like whether they're drafted to or to the same brand, to SmackDown or Raw, you need to have a situation where, like, if they're drafted to Raw, you have a video of them being drafted to Raw, and they're like, "What? No, like we need to. The bloodline needs to stick together." And then you have a subtle moment where Roman's like, "Yeah, that's too bad, guys," but then is like happy that they're gone, kind of thing. Or if they're drafted to SmackDown, then you need to have a situation where they're like, "Yeah, we're all together," and then Roman's like, "Yeah, great," kind of thing, right? where it looks like, okay, like I'm not happy that they're still with me because these fucking guys can't get the job done in terms of the tag belts. Now, if they're gonna split the tag team championships, which I think that they ought to, again, like I'm always a bigger fan of, like, if they're gonna split the brands, then fucking split them. Keep them away from each other, for fuck's sakes. If they're going to do that, then you can have a situation where, they have another opportunity to win the tag titles. And if they do, then they can stay in the bloodline, kind of thing. But that needs to be once and then done. Don't just keep going with it over and over and over again every week. Well, if you win, then you'll be in. And if you don't, then we're going to, they've been doing that since Mania, and it's already really stale. So they can basically get away with it one more time, I think, if they split the tag belts. But we'll see. I do think that it's important that wherever Sammy and Kevin go, they're on opposite brands from the Usos, because it'll just give them time to get over.
Right. And I mean, I think that's the smartest play for them at this point, with the story and everything. So, again, I think we all agree this was a lackluster show overall. What was your moment or match of the night? Jimmy, do you have a moment or match of the night for you?
I would say Triple H, like you said, man. Really, none of the matches I really care. I guess for me, LA Knight winning was the match of the night for me. Other than that, it was Triple H. But for a draft show, I just felt like this could have been so much better. But unfortunately, it just wasn't. And really, out of all the drafts in the past, why couldn't they do this? Why couldn't they have like what they used to do originally? Think back to the very first draft in 2002. How good was that booked? I thought that was done really well, considering it was their first ever time. But instead, we get this lazy shit. Like, it was just lazy. It was just an excuse to separate Cody and Roman and whoever else they wanted to separate. That's all this was. Other than that, it was weak.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Chris, was a moment or match of the night for you? Anything that stood out?
Yeah, moment for me was actually the OC. It looked like they were booked strong in their segment. It looked like they're going to be cohesive, and it looked like wherever they're going to be, they might actually be a big deal as a group. I love those guys. So if they're going to get booked properly, I'm excited for it. Other than that, this show was like aggressively all right. I don't know how else to put it. It was very skippable. Like, if you're, if you're the kind of person who just wants to see what's going on with storylines or wants to see good wrestling matches, you don't have to watch this show.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, this for me, I have to say, it was Triple H starting the show, and then after that, it was downhill from there. I mean, I would say the triple threat tag match was probably if I'm going to go match wise, that's probably the best match of the night. It had the most diversity, fun, entertainment. The LA Knight match was fine, but it was not entertaining. It was not.
No, it wasn't entertaining.
It was boring.
Yeah,
but I mean, for me, if I'm going to go match of the night, I'm going to say it's got to be the triple threat tag match. They put on a match that I felt was very entertaining and a lot of fun and enjoyable. And you showcased, that was a match that did a good job of showcasing all three teams and helping get them all over, but yet only one team won out of it. I mean, that's the thing. People think you got to win to get over. No, you don't. You just have to put on good matches. Just show that you are entertaining in the ring and put on a good match. And look, I elevated all three of these guys, in this match, and they did a really good job with it. So, again, as Chris said, they were screaming to mediocrity last night. That was just, it was like minimum effort,
Right, and you brought up a point, John, actually, because shouldn't they be on their best footing? They should all be putting on bangers to impress the powers that be that are doing this draft, right? You'd think you'd want to impress, but no one gives a shit.
But that's the whole dude. Media M5. We said that at the beginning of the show. He's like,
I know, man. Jeez, where have you been?
Come on, where have you
Seriously.
been? We said that at the very beginning of the show.
Get with the program, dude.
Yeah,
come on, Mikey.
But I think really at the end of the day, it just felt like, well, let's just slap something together. Nobody's going to care. We're going to get 2 million. We're going to watch them. They're going to watch no matter what. It's Friday night. And, we're going to have the NFL draft. But, by this point, it's night 2. It's second round. We're not competing against the first round draft pick. So we'll be fine. It's just whatever. Let's just,
It's just whatever. That's what
it's
was.
just whatever.
It shouldn't be.
Because, again, we know next Friday is not going to be anything. So this was your last real opportunity to sell your Backlash pay-per-view. You didn't even really do that. And then idea that all these matches should have been bangers because you're trying to impress for where you want to go in the draft. But then, we saw most of the people tonight weren't eligible for the draft. So it's like...
and we don't even know why.
Just because they picked random people. These people are going to be eligible for the draft.
It just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
They don't even explain it, man. That's what really...
Yeah, like what should have happened is they should have been telling the story of like, okay, the draft is coming up in 3 weeks, so like, everybody here is going to be on their on their top of their game or whatever, and then for the next 3 weeks you have an excuse to have a bunch of really good in-ring segments because these guys they're coming out here and it's not just another match for these guys. They're trying to prove where they belong in the draft and where they should go.
Right.
Everybody wants to be drafted. Everybody wants to be drafted first, or they want to be drafted to the brand that they like the best, or whatever. They're trying to show out for the general managers before the draft comes up. There's so many ways that you could do a draft and have it be really fucking good, but
this was it. This was not it. This was the opposite of that. This was like, if you want to have a draft show, this is the prototype for how to have a very bad draft show. And this was it, because we didn't see anybody in the rooms. We just saw the presenters come out of the rooms, shaking their heads, going, "Whoa, wow, look at this!" Like, I get to announce this before they go out and do it. It wasn't good. It was not enjoyable. It was a means to an end. It felt like, we've got to do this. Let's do this. So, one thing I did want to mention, and it is slightly WWE related. I did forget about this earlier to bring it up. But in case you didn't know, Jerry Springer died. I think it was yesterday, Friday.
The day before, maybe.
Or maybe Thursday. I can't remember. It's been a while since I think that. But Jerry Springer, known for having wrestlers on his show and being a wrestling fan himself, as well as the mayor of Cincinnati. But do you guys remember a favorite segment with a wrestler on the Jerry Springer show?
There was a few. Buff Bagwell being on, actually, back in the day. Yeah. Back in the day. There was a lot. There was a few moments. I mean, who can forget Steve, the security guard?
Yeah. Got his own show from it.
Absolutely. But you know what else we didn't touch on, though, before anything else? I wanted to know what you guys think.
Shay, shush.
All right.
We're on a topic. Let Chris have his chance to talk about his favorite Jerry Springer wrestling moment. I said wrestling moment, so shush. Get to your
I think the moment with Razor, where he came out and he gave with the kid was basically dying or whatever, and he gave him a championship belt. That was cool. Apparently, that really was Scott Hall's Intercontinental Championship. That wasn't a prop that they had made up for the moment. Yeah. He basically went to the E and said, "You need to make me a new belt because I gave it away to this kid."
Yeah. Good on him,
cool
too,
moment.
Man.
Yeah, good on him. Exactly. Yeah. Scott Hall, Scott Hall, man, that's
You
one
can say what you
guy.
want, but
That's
yeah.
one guy where like he was very confusing because there were
Mhm.
moments in his life where you could have looked at him and been like, this guy is just a gigantic shithead. This guy is
Mhm.
just an awful human being. But then there were all of these other moments where it just seemed like, wow, this guy is like a really good person. And I think that it sort of speaks to like the trauma that he sort of went through in his
And
life.
which
You
he
know,
really did go through a lot of trauma, man.
yeah, and I mean, talking about like that, having to kill someone in a fight, like I think that
And
sort
that
of
affects him.
always. Oh,
That
I think
affected
that
him still,
always
right?
affected him,
Mhm.
and I think that was one of the reasons for like a lot of the bad things that Scott Hall did. I think came, very much stemmed from that, and I think that without that, you probably would have had a much healthier human being. But as it was, that was probably my favorite. That was probably my favorite moment from Jerry Springer, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
Never mind wrestling related, but I loved that. And Scott Hall also, rest in peace.
Yes, and
Absolutely. Rest in peace.
I think that's my number one. My number two is when they had this guy on and his girl was like, "Oh," and I think he was an independent wrestler. I don't remember the entirety of the segment, but he comes out and he's wearing a jacket with no shirt, and she's like, "You're not giving me attention, so I found somebody else." And then out comes the Iron Sheik, and she's now with the Iron Sheik. She's been cheating on this guy with the Iron Sheik, and he's like, "What? You want this old infidel?" Like, da da da. And the Iron Sheik just cuts a promo on him like nobody's business, and says how he's going to take care of this girl. And then the guy goes, "Yeah, well, I think I'll be all right." And he pulls it up in his jacket. He's not wearing anything, and he grabs a woman from the crowd, and it was hilarious. So, like, I think if we're gonna go like legitimate true moment, that's Scott Hall moment, but the Iron Sheik coming out and watching the Iron Sheik just, "Hey, Bubba, I was the one who entered the WWF, and I humbled Hulk Hogan, and I humbled Bob Backlund, and I broke their back,
And now I break your girlfriend back.
yeah, right. It was, look, it was great. It was funny to see something like that. Interesting question though. Just to kind of stay on this topic real quick, do you think Jerry Springer helped or hurt society? I saw this posted earlier by April Hunter of all people, and so what do you think? Jerry Springer, did he help or hurt society?
A bit of both. Actually, more hurt, let's be honest. But also at the same time, it wasn't. It was pretty well known that a lot of the show was bullshit, though, man. There was a lot of actual actors on there. But in saying that, there was also a legit murder case that happened thanks to Jerry Springer also. So not everything was bullshit, but a lot of it was. But yeah, so that's why I say a bit of both.
Chris, what do you
Chris?
think?
I don't want to speak to the man because I mean, he just died, and I think
I'm not saying that about the man. I'm just saying about the show in general.
Oh, I think the show profoundly hurt society. I think that it normalized a lot of things that should not be normalized. I think that it made salaciousness seem more real. And I mean, we just talked about it, basically what was a wrestling angle. I mean, this is what Jerry Springer was. And Jimmy said that, it was well known that a lot of it was bullshit, and that's right. But it was also something that they played off as real, and I think that society reflected that over the years that Springer was on. I think that it normalized a lot of salaciousness that shouldn't have been normalized, personally. But I mean, Jerry Springer as a human, he seemed like a really nice guy. This show, not good for society, my personal opinion.
I agree. When you have shows of like I had sex with my brother, and I mean things like that. Look, I don't think that it did a lot for society, and then I feel like it made hey, let me start throwing hands on something because I disagree with them, or because they did something to me. It brought that out more into society that it's okay. No, look, it's fine. Someone talks crap about you, just go punch them in the face. It's totally fine. That's not a big deal at all. I think in the long run, the show really did it. It also, I think, exposed our society of who we are as a people in general. I really think that. But
it was the times too, man.
Yeah. But I think I agree that as a person he was fine, but man, that show boy, was that just something that I think it helped expedite where we are at today as a society. And I can't say that's a good thing, but was there a reason he did it for a reason? He had, he did it. I think
money.
It's money and satire to expose what our society is. That we in all actuality relish this kind of stuff when we try to pretend like we don't. And then it just normalized a lot of things that we don't need to. So anyway, Jimmy, you had one thing before we go. What did you want to say?
Yes, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the CM Punk situation from last Monday. Did you guys hear about that?
Oh, that he was
showing up on Raw?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Nothing
they were
to
in
say
Chicago. I mean, look, he shows up at anything that's wrestling related in Chicago.
But he hasn't done that with WWE in many, many years, regardless if it was in Chicago or not. So I found that kind of interesting. Not that it matters. He'll still be with AEW. The fact that he actually, reconciled with Triple H, I find very interesting, though.
CM Punk constantly fucking with people, constantly fucking with the IWC. This was CM Punk getting his name out there. It was a stunt. And basically, like, there's been some talk about, are they gonna have a different show for CM Punk? But there's also been people like Dave talking about how they should just fire him, they should just let him go. CM Punk's going, okay, go ahead and fire me. I'm gonna show you that I'll be just fucking fine, TK. Mm-hmm. Plus, I'm gonna show up on Raw, and more people are gonna tweet about how I showed up on Raw than whatever the fuck your main event was on AEW tonight. So good luck, guys.
Like Elizabeth said in the chat, that's exactly what happened. Basically, he was doing his MMA gig. You know how he does commentary in MMA, I can't remember the promotion. And he was on the same flight as some WWE workers, and that's how it happened. So basically, he got invited, I think, by Tamina Snuka. That's what I heard, and that's why he turned up to the building, and the rest is history.
Well, I mean, he was eventually asked to leave too, so
that's true too. Only because of the contract tampering situation, so that makes sense.
But still, it's still a thing. So look, I think it was just again Chicago, CM Punk. He's been seen in independent shows in the Chicago area. He's been seen when there's wrestling. He wants to be wrestling adjacent. It's a way to get his. Oh my God, CM Punk was at an AWE show or whatever that was ran in Chicago. Oh my God, it was at a GCW show that ran in Chicago. Look, the guy shows up when anything happens in Chicago that's wrestling related because people talk about it. That's the whole bit. He's just trolling people at this point because it keeps his name out there because he knows people want to hear from the Punk. We want to hear from the Punk. It's just marketing on his part. Hey, what's up, Vet? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome. And he says, and you can hear more about it on Monday Night Machimismo, Thursday edition.
Where the Vet was a guest on the show, and we did talk about that in full. So if you guys want to hear our opinion on the CM Punk situation, go check that out at the pwcnetwork.podbean.com.
Go listen. Oh, look at that. With that, let's transition to get the fuck out of here because it's now 2 hours and 40 minutes that we've been talking about this shitty show. So let's move forward. And, I think 30 minutes was yelling at Jimmy for his stupid opinion. But
I wish Vet was here before to hear this.
Wait. Blah, 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 blah. I can do that if I want. So let's discuss about where people can find you on the internet. And let's talk with late boy Jimmy the Greek. Where can people find you on the internet and hear your Greek, Italian, Armenian, Australian voice? I don't know.
Whoa. Slow the fuck down, dude. Please. I'm pure Greek, right? As far as I know, right? But
you're Australian.
He's definitely Turkic.
Yeah.
My parents are born in Greece. I'm born here. But in Australia. But anyway, it doesn't matter. If you want to follow me, you can on Twitter at DJ MassFX and also at the PWC Network, where you can follow all of us. Also, like and subscribe at the pwcnetwork.podbean.com, where you can find all our shows, including the Monday Night Machismo, which Vet just brought up in the chat. More importantly, like and subscribe right here at channelattitude.com, where for $5, you get the best talk in pro wrestling. And believe me when I tell you that. Also, HaminMediaGroup.podbean.com for all our affiliate shows, including John's, and also Mr. Jeff Lippman is not here with us right now anymore. But yeah, that's about it, guys.
All right. Chris, where can
Yes,
people find you
same
on the
kind of
internet?
stuff. Basically the same places on the PWC. I'm all over the place over there. This last week, I was on Impact Attack with the Vet. That was a lot of fun. Got to catch up on some Impact Wrestling. It's something that I don't watch regularly, so watched it and thought, wow, this was good. Why is wrestling good in Impact and so bad everywhere else?
Because Impact doesn't give a fuck.
I guess, and it's Canadian owned. That's why
Yeah.
I'm gonna claim it because it's Canadian owned. But yeah, you can find me on there. You can find me on Twitter at ChrisAmbs1. You can hear me. You can read as I talk about politics, pro wrestling, and whatever else comes to mind. You can find me on Facebook. If you're holding a professional wrestling belt and you are not actually a professional wrestler in your profile picture, I won't add you. Don't ask why. You know why, you weirdos. Other than that, you can find me right here. Hami Media Group, and channelattitude.com. So yeah, you can find me all over the place. I'm everywhere, always talking about amazing things and just generally being fucking cool.
Yes, I agree with that. So much so. And then, of course, you can always find me. Well, right now, I'm on my Facebook page because I'm trying to change it to me holding a belt so that Chris has to look at me holding a belt. And I'm working on it. Where's my picture with my belt with Lance Archer and me and holding his belt? I'm trying to find it. I'll find it and I'll change it in a minute. But you can always find me on the internet at JReezyMin. That is on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter. And then you can also find me on the Facebooks at John Enright and just figure it out. You'll know where to go find me. From there, you can do that. Sometimes, though, I keep it pretty locked down. So if you might not be able to add me and just have to message me like, hey, I can't be your friend. Maybe there's a reason for that. Ha 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 ha. Hello. Hey, the girls are back. The girls are back. There we go. But that's where you can find me. Of course, you can always find us here every Saturday talking on the Humming Media Group channel for Channel Attitude. And pay the $5 a month to listen to all the backlogs of different things. You can hear the return of Stevie Richards back on the internet as he's back and feeling better than ever, and hear his journey and his story. You can hear the great Bid Hameen. You can hear everybody going on and on about the different things. Vince Russo on Channel Attitude for $5 a month. And then, as always, don't forget about the Hameen Media Group channel on your podcast feeds, because that's where you get Garden of Doom, where Jeff is right now recording a message. Apparently, he found a guy who knows where Atlantis is and can prove it. So he's recording that podcast right now, which will be out later. Triple D and I just finished our megasode chronicling the Picard season and series ender of episodes 9 and 10 and how beautiful it was. And it was a very great story. And if you want to watch for any reason at all, watch for Worf, because Worf was a badass, as always, but also just super cool. The fact, I will give this spoiler away, Worf, after everything, when they get back to where they need to be, and it's everybody on the bridge of the ship that they're on, Worf takes a seat after just kicking all this ass and just does the old man snore in the chair, like you're watching Thursday football after Thanksgiving. It was great. Worf was the greatest on that show. So anyway, you can hear our things on that, or you can listen to Garden of Doom or any of the other fine channel shows that are on that channel as well. Gentlemen, as always, it has been a pleasure. You have made this 2 hours and 45 minutes worth it, as always. And Jimmy, thanks for letting us punch you in the nuts all the time. Thank you for that. It's always fun to punch
That's
you in the
my pleasure.
So
only when you're wrong, Jimmy.
yes, exactly. Which is all the time.
I still disagree, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
We know you do. But thank you, gentlemen, for being here, as always. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Y'all have been great, as always, bringing up some great points and making some really funny comments as well. So thank you all for being here. Elizabeth, Media M5, Canada Spaceman, all the people in between, Todd Brantley and such. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for this week. Next week, we lead into the Backlash at the Beach. Ooh.
The
Yeah.
Backlash at the Beach.
Why are they calling it Backlash at the Beach? That's all I want to know. WWE, again, stop being lazy. Call it Backlash at the Beach. And Puerto Rico, we know Friday night is going to be awful, but hey, we'll be here Saturday morning talking about the lead up to Backlash and what's going to happen. So come here next week, maybe at the same time. It depends on what my kid's work schedule is because he doesn't work till 5 today. So I was able to come in early, but we'll see. We'll try to be here regularly as often as possible. It will be on a Saturday. We will be here to talk wrestling, and we will have carried all this awfulness for you so you don't have to because we love you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for listening to the Smack Attack, and we will see you next week. A peace.